Call to order the Wednesday, September 23rd, 2020 City Council meeting. At this time, please join us in the invocation and pledge of allegiance, and then we'll approve the minutes. At this time, I think Councilman Westbrook is going to do the invocation.
Please pray with me. Heavenly Father, we come to you this day with grateful hearts for the life-giving rain that you have given us, grateful for all of the blessings that you have bestowed upon this city, its citizens, and this council. We ask that your divine guidance and wisdom on this council, that we are led to the wise decisions in the best interest of our citizens that we represent. We ask all of these things in your name. And we also ask special intervention for those that are having issues with the floods in South Texas and throughout Louisiana. We also ask your blessings on those who are still suffering with COVID. We ask your blessings on all of our first responders, doctors, nurses, police, fire. We ask all of these things in your name, Christ Jesus. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. Sure. We'll go through that. Okay. At this time, we have minutes to be approved.
Move to approve.
Motion by Sellers, a second by Westbrook. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. At this time, we're going to pull A1. And then we're going to go straight to R1. George Roberts.
Morning, Mayor, Council.
Morning, George.
Morning.
So I'm here today to, as you're aware, Dr. Jeff Levine, who's also with us today, he's back in the back of the room there, has retired from UT Health Science Center, but that also means that he is...
We would clap for you, but the way you set that up would be like we're happy you're leaving, and we're not, so we're not going to clap.
So he is retired, and he is stepping down from his role as Smith County Health Authority, but we have Dr. Levine has been incredible during this whole time, as everyone knows. But we also have a very capable young man who's standing behind me here to step in his shoes and move forward here. Dr. Paul McGahey has been in public health in East Texas for 30 years and has kind of been one of my mentors in the field. I first met Dr. McGahey when I was the CEO of Henderson Hospital in Henderson, Texas back in the 90s. And I had Dr. McGahey came over and did some community health assessment work for me in Russ County, and also was very helpful to me as we went through the whole 9/11 situation, came and talked to my board on several occasions. He was regional medical director for public health regions 4 and 5 north of the Texas Department of State Health Services for almost 20 years before joining UT Health Science Center in 2015. In 2016, he was named inaugural chair of the Department of Community Health for the School of Community and Rural Health, where he directs classroom instruction related to social determinants of health and community engagement. Dr. McGahey's education and training include Bachelor's of Science in Pharmacy from Southwestern Oklahoma State University in 1980, a Doctor of Osteopathic Medicine from Oklahoma State University College of Osteopathic Medicine in 1983, and a Master's of Public Health degree from the University of Texas Health Science Center in Houston School of Public Health in 1992. So we're very pleased to have such a capable young man as Dr. Paul McGahey to step in here and to have wise counsel. We've had it from Jeff Levine, and we expect to have the same counsel from Dr. Paul McGahey as we move forward. Dr. McGahey, you want to say something?
No, thank you, George, Mayor and Council. I'm happy to be stepping into this position. I have spent my career in public health here. I've lived here, raised our family with 6 children here in Tyler. So love the community. Well, we'll do all I can to support you and your activities moving forward. I really appreciate Dr. Levine and the fantastic job he's done as local health authority. So filling big shoes there, but look forward to the opportunity. Thank you very much.
Great, thank you very much. I've had the pleasure to both meet with you and, of course, Dr. Levine for quite some time related to the COVID meetings, and y'all's expertise has been invaluable to me, and I know I can speak for Judge Moran on that as well in helping navigate for this community. So thank you all both very much. We look forward to your service.
Thank you very much.
George, I do have one question for you. Has there been any discussion about a deputy health authority to support the efforts of Dr. McGahey?
Yes, we've had some initial conversations about that. There's a preventive medicine residency training program that's actually starting, 2022?
Yes.
At the Health Science Center. So we've had several discussions and have an individual in mind maybe to serve as the deputy in the future. So those conversations are ongoing. So yes, the answer is yes.
Great, thank you very much.
Great, thank you all very much.
Thank you both.
Is there any action, Deborah?
I move to approve R1, the appointment of Dr. McGahey.
Okay, a motion from Westbrook, a second from McKellar. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
All right.
R2, Deborah?
Yes, sir. Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Good morning.
Today, we are here requesting that the City Council consider adopting a resolution authorizing proceedings in eminent domain on a property located on 1130 West Franklin to acquire an easement to complete the T.J. Austin Sidewalk project. As Council may remember, back in 2019, the city awarded the bid in order to construct a sidewalk and curb and gutter around T.J. Austin Elementary School. This project is almost complete. The construction remaining is along the east side of Moore Avenue between Franklin Avenue and Harmony Street. Now, there are 2 lots where the construction is finally needed for finishing, and there is only 1 lot where the city has not been able to obtain an easement. There were heirs that were identified for these lots. However, those direct heirs have since been deceased. Neither one of those heirs' estates have been probated. And so even though there may be some known heirs, either the known heirs refuse to cooperate in the condemnation, and there may even be some unknown heirs out there because the estates have not been probated. Therefore, that's the reason that the city needs to proceed in this project by eminent domain. And so for your action today, attached is the resolution authorizing the eminent domain action. And if you will, Council, look at your packet. In terms of eminent domain, there is a specific statement, I guess, actually, or motion has to be made in a specific style. And I think that has been provided to you, but I will just go along and say that in order pursuant to the Truth and Condemnation Procedures Act, any motion to adopt the resolution must be made as follows. I move that the City of Tyler authorize the use of the power of eminent domain to acquire the .028 acre road utility and drainage easement across the tract of land situated in the James McKnight Survey, Abstract 689, and being a part of Lot 3, New City Block 449C of the Galloway Edition, shown on plat, recorded in volume 101, page 9 of the deed records of Smith County, Texas. Also being a part of that certain tract of land described in a deed from Edith Bolton et al. To Sorella Crowder and Luella McNary, as recorded in volume 621, page 403 of the deed records of Smith County, Texas. Also being a part of tax lot 23 for the purpose of constructing a sidewalk and curb and gutter for the citizens of Tyler, Texas. And obviously, that's for notice.
Is someone willing to just make a motion for that out of what she just said?
Move to approve, because I was looking in my we don't have it. So
We don't
that's
have
why-
it, so.
You don't,
No, we
let
do not
me-
have it,
Let me
so.
provide it to you, so.
Okay,
'cause
send it.
needs to be-
So I have to read it? I have to read all that?
I can read it real quick.
Go ahead, sir.
Go as fast as you want to.
At the
Okay.
variance or pursuant to truth and condemnation procedures.
All right, so where am I starting here? On item reference?
I'm,
Tell me where am I starting? Pursuant, the part that says pursuant.
just start with I move, if you so move.
Well, I do move. Pursuant to the Truth and Condemnation Procedures Act, any motion to adopt the resolution must be made as follows. All right, I move that the City of Tyler authorize the use of the power of eminent domain to acquire 0.28 of an acre road, utility and drainage easement tract of land situated in the James McKnight Survey, Abstract 689, and being a part of Lot 13, New York City Block 449-C of the Galloway Edition as shown on plat recorded in Volume 101, page 9 of the Deed of Records of Smith County, Texas, also being a part of that certain tract of land described in a deed from Edith Bolton, Ed Beer, et al. To Sorella Crowder and Luella McNary, as recorded in Volume 621, page 403 of the Deed Records of Smith County, Texas, also being a part of Tax Lot 23 for the purpose of constructing a sidewalk and curb and gutter for the citizens of the City of Tyler.
Second.
We have a motion by McKee, a second for Sellers. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank
I
you,
will say
Counsel.
again that I am not in favor of eminent domain,
I know.
but in this sort of case, I would be for it for sure. Because I can understand the known heirs not wanting to sign a document that legally they can't sign, right? So they don't want to get in trouble with
Right.
other family members down the road. So this is the best way to handle that.
Absolutely. Oftentimes, when probate estates aren't probated, this is the only way that
Yeah,
you
there could
can.
be 15 to
make
20
useful
heirs.
properties.
There's easily 15 to 20 heirs to that
Yes, sir.
property then.
Could be. So
Could
this is the
be.
way to clear it up. Yes, sir.
And then
Thank you all.
it'll go to the special commissioners and they'll
Yes, sir.
deal with that and make it sure it's a fair agreement.
Process and the value
Right.
and all of that. Yes, sir.
That's right. Sounds good.
Thank you.
Z1? Uh-huh,
Yes.
yes. And I made a comment after we voted. Yeah, I got the look, but I was right this time. So I'll look back at you. Okay, so, issue Z1, you go ahead and
Good morning, Mayor and
present it.
Council.
Okay,
This first item is a zone change request from R1A Single Family to R1B Single Family District. The main difference between R1A and R1B is the minimum lot size, which determines density. The applicant plans to develop detached single-family homes on this property with a minimum square feet or lot size of 6,000 square feet. The properties to the northwest and south are developed with single-family homes. The properties to the east are developed with commercial uses. This request is consistent with the future land use guide, which identifies the property as single-family, medium, low density. Just a little bit of history. In June 2020, earlier this year, the applicant requested to rezone the property to PUR Planned Unit Residential District with a site plan that proposed 15 townhome units, attached townhome units. The proposal was not recommended by the city staff as the form of development was not in keeping with the existing neighborhood. The Planning and Zoning Commission denied that request. The current request for R1B requires a minimum 6,000 square feet compared to the 9,000 square feet minimum lot size in R1A. When the subdivision was platted in 1971, it created 8 lots 4 of the lots were fronting along Richmond Road. The other 4 were fronting along a unbuilt street called Janelle Drive. The original deed restrictions for this development were established for 20 years. It stipulated that all the lots exceed or be at least 12,500 square feet in area, so established a minimum lot size through deed restriction, which is one of the reasons why you do see the large or the oversized R1A lots in this neighborhood. So like I mentioned, that was established through deed restriction. However, the zoning does allow for 9,000 square feet lots, and those deed restrictions have since expired. Since the property was originally platted, commercial development has occurred or has increased along Old Bullard Road. The properties to the east have been rezoned from single family to commercial uses. As commercial development increased along Old Bullard Road, those who owned homes along Richmond Road, they also owned the lots behind them or to the east. And at that time, they were concerned about commercial traffic coming through on that unbuilt street, or if it were to ever to be built. And so they petitioned the city to abandon that street, Janelle Drive. That's why you don't see it on the map anymore. And so that was intended to prevent any commercial traffic coming through this or into this neighborhood through that street. The applicant indicated that has indicated that they plan to develop 11 single-family homes. Given the property size and the minimum lot size of 9,000 square feet, they estimate that they can build 7 homes as is, or with the current zoning. And so the net increase in number of homes will be 4. The applicant plans to develop a cul-de-sac street that would come off of Richmond Road and have homes on both sides of that street. While the proposed use of detached single-family homes is compatible with the surrounding neighborhood, which are also single-family homes, the proposed density is not consistent with the existing character of large lot single-family density. And so those large lots, again, were established through deed restriction, not through zoning. Since the deed restriction requiring at least 12,500 square feet has expired, there has not been any re-subdivisions in the neighborhood, so nobody has taken their large lots and maybe cut it in half or made them smaller. And so there hasn't been a trend towards smaller single-family lots. The proposed zoning would increase the number of potential lots that can be developed, but will still substantially be similar or consistent with the development parameters in the neighborhood. Given that the R1A and the R1B both have the same building height requirements or maximum height requirements, which is 42 feet. They both have the same front yard and rear yard setbacks of 25 feet. And the only little difference there, other than the density, would be a decrease in the side yard setback. It's about 1.5 foot would be different. So R1B homes can be closer together than R1A. So the applicant did meet with the neighbors quite a few times to discuss the proposal. They did meet with prior request, and then they met with this one, or about this one. And generally the concern from the neighborhood is, or from the neighbors, it is the increase in density, increase in number of homes, and then generally the impact to the character of the neighborhood. So like I mentioned, when the neighborhood was developed, or it was established to have large lots with larger homes. And so this request would reduce the minimum lot size and increase the number of lots and potentially reduce the size of the homes. Of the 18 notices that were sent, 4 were returned in favor of the request. 7 were returned in opposition with a protest calculation of 34.67%. As you can see here in the red, that's the opposition. In the blue are those that are in favor of it. The applicant does own a couple of those lots that are in favor of it. As the opposition exceeds 20%, a favorable vote of 3/4 majority of City Council will be required to approve this item.
Can we blow up this map at all? My eyes are, I'm old. Okay. Yeah, thank you.
And I'd also like to note that we did receive 12 letters from neighbors that are outside of the 200-foot mailed notice area. And you do have some of those in front of you today. Some of those came in last night and the night before. With that, when staff reviewed the application, staff recommended denial of the zone change from R1A to R1B and suggested that perhaps a plan development may be more appropriate through a PUR with a site plan, and then development parameters that may be limit the development or establish separations to maybe a little bit be more in context with the neighborhood. So some elements that are a little bit context sensitive to the neighborhood, ideally or most notably would be the tree preservation area along the northern property line, which would provide a visual screen or buffer from the pool lot, because that is the pool property is a neighborhood defining feature. It is and so, you know, if there was a way to have some sort of screening from that might be a way forward. When the Planning and Zoning Commission considered the item, they by a 5-to-1 vote denied the request, and the applicant is here today to appeal that decision.
Has it been back to P and Z more than once, or has it just been once?
This request?
Yes.
No, just once.
Okay.
So Kyle, was there an adequate barrier proposed in the original presentation to P and Z in the site plan for the pool area?
Back in June, the request for townhomes, there was a site plan developed, and there was that tree line preservation area with that site plan, and staff felt that was a good design element to buffer the development.
So was that when it was 15 units?
That's right. And so
it was more of a townhome.
right. And so that was shown on that site plan, and but this proposal today is not subject to the site plan, so there's nothing.
Do you have an old plat that we could see before the end of the meeting that you said Janelle Street was platted,
Right.
but never built? Can
That's
I
right.
see where that is?
Sure.
I don't know. I don't know where that is.
We can find that. Yeah.
If
we'll
you'll
get
find that, I'd like to see it. Well, I mean, is that the entire green area there? And then it was. Oh yeah, right. I understand, but I want to see it on what it was originally platted for.
Okay. Yeah, we'll pull
Okay.
that up.
Because it was platted, correct?
That's right.
I
Yeah,
wanna see
it kind of horseshoed down to the south.
Yeah, I'd like to see
But
what it
we'll
looks
show that
like.
to you. Okay.
Is there a barrier required under the zoning request that's made for all of the areas that abut up against this proposed?
No, because, no, there's no, any buffer requirement between, there's no, code required buffer requirement, except for perhaps on the commercial area, the commercial properties would have to provide a buffer, but that's, that doesn't change with this request. They're required to do that anyways.
Yeah, I don't see a card here, and I don't know if the person's on the phone or not, but Lot 9 and Lot 10, which aren't adjoining, but they look to be owned by the same person. Did you hear from that person?
Yeah, well, Lot 9 and 10 are actually owned by the applicant, and this
Okay.
This property
Oh,
here
okay.
is,
I'm sorry.
yeah, they're rezoning a portion of those two lots
Yeah, we
today.
were, sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so that's, and then Lot 1A, A1, Thomas Smith.
Right, Mr. Smith was, he was in favor of the change, because he didn't see a big difference between the current R1A and the R1B,
Okay.
so.
Okay, so, any other questions, Kyle?
Just one street
Yeah.
over to the west
Right.
is an R1B development, correct? Is that the density that we're looking at with regard to that's being proposed for this?
Yeah, maybe some of the smaller lots to the west.
You know,
Yeah, right there.
what really, Bob, what really is compelling to me on the west side is the lack of depth of those lots, right? I mean, they're very skinny compared to the stuff on the east side.
Sure, that was the reason. for the
Yeah,
request.
I mean, and I think that is definitely a harder track
Mhm.
to deal with and to talk about. I won't be here the next time it comes up, but that's a harder topic for sure.
Before Kyle leaves, I'd just like to thank Trey and Kyle. We certainly had a lot of neighborhood meetings over the summertime, and we actually met out at the property and looked at the property, and both of those guys did everything they could to make this work. So regardless of how it comes out, Kyle, you've put a lot of time in on this one, and I thank you for doing that.
Yeah, no problem.
And so, but I got another question. So R1B, 6,000 square foot lots, right?
Yes, sir.
And that creates how many? They came in at 15 townhomes, R1B, 6,000, how many houses?
From the applicant, they said the math comes out to about 11 lots.
Now,
After you take out the right-of-way for the street,
Okay, if it's R1A, how many are they allowed to do right now?
it'd be 7,
7?
right?
And that's already, that's already a legal thing that they can do, right?
Right, so they can subdivide this area you see here into 9,000 square foot lots.
Without doing zoning,
That's right,
yeah.
yeah.
Kyle, what about with PUR? Because isn't that what you were recommending? How many with that?
Well, the PUR could be, that can be limited, you know, through the PUR, you can establish a minimum lot size or establish the number of units. And so if there's any, you know, if it's the number of units or if it's a, you know, a screening thing or a buffer thing, all those can be subject to that site plan. And so the R1B standards, like I mentioned, were substantially similar to R1A. Whether the minimum 6,000 square foot R1B lot be part of that PUR, that'd be up for discussion. But it could be, you know, it could be different. It could be 7,000 or 8,000 square foot lots, or instead of, or the PUR can be specific and say, you know, 9 homes or 10 homes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, that answers my questions. Any more questions or comments? Okay, so we have quite a few cards here. Okay, you have one person on the line now? Yes, sir. Okay, since we have quite a few people, I'd like to limit it to 3 minutes today. If someone I think there's going to be probably a lot of repetitive stuff, so if we could just do that. Everybody's kind of nodding their head they can do that, so let's give that a shot, okay? And then can you tell the person on the phone to go ahead and they have 3 minutes to introduce, tell us the name and address. Yes, ma'am.
My husband or I
Thank you very much, Ms. Harry. You were so prompt, you ended with 2 seconds left. That's impressive. At this time, I've got a card from Mr. Brewer. Do you want to wait to come up here a little bit later, or you want to have? Mr. Priestner, you want to come lay it out then a little bit? Yeah.
Thank you, Mayor and Council. Mark Priestner, Planning Concepts, 3815 Old Bullard Road. Let me start by saying this. This is a zoning case. Personal attacks have no place here or anywhere else. I'm very offended that the caller's remarks about Trey, he has been absolutely transparent. We have done absolutely everything the neighbors have asked for of us. And I don't appreciate personal attacks. So, I hope we can cut those off. Let's talk about just the zoning. Okay, this property is on the fringe of this area. When you keep hearing neighbors talk about this being part of Idlewild subdivision, it's actually not part of Idlewild. It is adjacent to Idlewild. This is not part of the Idlewild subdivision as it was platted. The pool is the southern end of Idlewild. This property is adjacent to the pool, adjacent to commercial development on the east, and adjacent to residential properties west and to the south. I think it's really important to note that through all of this and everything that we've been through, the properties that are adjacent to it that live there are in favor of it. Not one person that lives adjacent to this property is opposed to what we're proposing. The only property opposed to it that's adjacent is the pool, and it's the HOA vote that is and that's what's putting the majority of the protest in there. It was designed as a pool on the edge of their subdivision. When they designed the pool, they didn't build in any buffers to it. It was built as it is. It was built off of the road. It's a great location and it's a great amenity for the neighborhood. But I think it's important to point out that when they designed the subdivision and laid it out, they didn't put in any buffers for that pool. It was on the very edge of their platted subdivision, and they didn't know this could have been commercial property next to it. The biggest thing that's happened is, as Kyle pointed out over the years, is that Old Bullard Road has developed with a lot more commercial than what was originally there. Originally, it had a lot of houses fronting on. It was an old farm road. Those converted to offices converted to retail use. It's kind of going over there. So this is serving as a buffer from commercial to a medium density to a low density. The last thing I want to point out is 4 houses difference between what's allowed now and what we're proposing, 4 houses. So that's 4 cars during peak hour. It's not a big change. Be happy to answer any questions.
So, yeah, Mark? Kathy just said something on the phone, and Kyle said something earlier. Maybe you've been to P&Z on this twice? Was it different proposals?
Yes, what happened?
Each time,
yeah.
what happened?
Here's the quick summary. We applied to P&Z as a PUR. We had the buffers in place. It was a townhome development. That's what we were doing at that time, attached townhomes to buffer the commercial side. It was recommended for denial at P&Z and by staff because they didn't feel it met the PUR requirement for open space. Because we had a dedicated tree buffer that wasn't open space, so they recommended that we pull it, come back with R1B, which was more compatible. The neighbors at that time, they said at the meeting, we don't care about the buffer, we want separated individual houses that look like and feel like the rest of the neighborhood. So the R1B was brought back with the intent of having separated properties. The style setbacks are all similar with the R1A that's there, the only difference being the side setback and the lot size.
Any other questions, Mr. Priestner? And you said what subdivision is this?
It is called, say them again. You have to take a mask off. Fran Arlene.
And her daughter must have been Janelle.
I don't know.
Okay, so Carrie King Are you here? Hello, Ms. King. Just
morning.
state your name and
Yes, sir.
address, and then the time will get started. Your time's not started. Let him go ahead
My name is Carrie King. I reside at 4411 Richmond Road,
and you're,
and I'm here with my husband David. We're against the development.
yeah, but go ahead and
gonna
let
put a
him place
thing
that
up
stuff there.
Just a couple things I wanted to point out.
Sure.
What I'm showing here, this is the Idlewild area. It's
Huh?
made up of several different additions. There's a Fran Arlene 1, a Fran Arlene 2, there's an Idlewild unit 1, 2, 3, 4, I think it goes up to 7. Forest Wood, there's Timberwild Estates. There's several different areas residential areas within this yellow R1A area, but we consider it all the Idlewild neighborhood.
Okay.
Fran Arlene makes no difference. His part of the neighborhood can join the pool just like our part of the neighborhood can join the pool. So all these areas were developed and platted through the 60s through the early 70s, and they were all R1A. His deed restrictions were the exact same deed restrictions that the rest of the Idlewild subdivision has. The argument that it's only 4 more houses, that's still an over 50% increase of what he would be allowed under R1A. The fact that this is R1B zoning and they're talking about that little orange strip there, that's the Timberwild Estates. That is the R1B development that was built in the, I believe, the late 70s. But that R1B section there is very different than what he would be able to build. That section has a 60-foot wide street with a tree line median in the middle of it. It has alleyways on both sides to the back, so both sides of the street, there are no front-facing garages. Everything faces to the back, so they have front yards. What he's going to be able to build would be nothing like that. It would not look like that. And again, this is not a leftover piece of property. It was left undeveloped on purpose with a plan to serve as a buffer, and anything he builds in there will be an inferior buffer to what an R1A buffer would be, in my opinion. Our neighborhood is a traditional R1A, single detached homes, large lots. All of our lots are at least 12,500 square feet. All of the lots in his section were actually 16,500 square feet, so they were very large. But as you can see on the map, from the east, we continue to face encroachment by the commercial development and private offices that are going in. And all of this is putting more traffic, more problems with our sewage and our storm drain issues. I think you've all got a copy of my slides, but we're just having a lot of problems. And I think the more density, the higher density that goes in there, the more it's going to just cause those problems to get worse, not better. I thank you for your time. If you have any questions, I'm happy to ask them to you.
Yes, I do. I'm just curious on this. I don't think I've ever understood this. So the swimming pool, is it a requirement that everybody become members to the pool or
No,
not?
it's on a voluntary
complete
basis.
voluntary.
Complete voluntary, and
So really, anybody can,
we consider this the neighborhood. They can join for a certain fee. Anyone outside of the neighborhood has to pay a higher
right,
fee.
and there probably is some people that are doing that, right?
Yes, there
Yeah,
are,
they do, okay.
because our pool is nice.
I didn't know if it was, but so it's not even strictly for the subdivision? Kind of, it's not really strictly for the subdivision, if anybody wants to?
No, I mean,
join the group.
initially, when it was built, it was for the residents of
Right.
Idlewild, and,
But there's no requirement like in certain areas to join?
No, there's no
Okay.
HOA dues, there's no, nothing mandatory about it. The residents volunteer their time to take care of it.
Okay,
You asked about that one plat, I have it here.
yeah, I'd like to see it. Oh, yeah.
That shows where Janelle Drive was.
Awesome. Did it go to the other side? Did it go to the west at all?
Across
I mean,
Richmond?
Yeah.
It never
did it go-
joined Old
No.
Bullard Road then?
No,
It came back to Rice Road?
No, I never went through all the way to Rice Road. There's another lot in between there, but
Cool, can I see that plat? Can I keep that for me? Okay, yeah, I wanna have it, so I can see it.
Can we look at it just a little longer? Because I had not seen that.
I'll give it to you.
Oh,
I'll set it
okay.
right here.
Okay.
So
Fine.
Kyle, what we're saying is that the neighborhood does not want any homes
Look at-
being built on that buffer property, is that what?
my understanding is that the neighborhood would like for it to stay
As
as,
is?
well, as is or whatever can be developed now. So currently, the 7 lots that could be developed there, they feel that's sufficient for, I'm not sure they would like to have all those lots there because it was planned in the beginning to be larger lots, but as it is right now, I think they'd be okay with that.
But that road would not be possible with the development now, correct?
The road could be platted in there from a feasibility the feasibility of putting a one-sided road is probably not cost-effective, but in theory, it could be put in there now, yeah.
Okay, so next card is, if there's no other questions, card for Sam Price. Mr. Price? Okay, gotcha.
My name is Sam Price. I live at 510 Timberwild. Good morning, Mr. Mayor and
Good
council
morning.
members. Thank you for giving me the time to speak to you this morning and giving us all time to listen to our views on our beautiful neighborhood. One thing I got to say, this is really, really personal for everyone there because it seems like every other year we have to face some type of issues or planning zone or zoning plans changes. Because we do have a beautiful neighborhood, and there's a couple of different areas that are undeveloped in that area, and they're undeveloped for a reason. It's because it just makes the whole neighborhood more beautiful. The two things, and I can, I talked to you about experience. I've been here before. With some things that's happened around my house. I know that the lady that used to own Lot 10, Duchess Hamilton. That's the house that Trey had purchased from her. And he had recently sold it. And I think Mr. Priestner mentioned earlier that one house, one car. Well, let me tell you, this house that he sold just recently, they have like 5 cars. And I'm afraid that's what's going to happen down the road if he gets to develop anything more than 4 homes, or I guess 5, maybe. 7 homes, yeah, that's what it is now. The original plat was 4 homes that you can see on that, where you have that new one that Ms. King just gave you. Let me also point out you have 12 opposition letters in front of you right now, but on the proposal that we got in the mail, it said at the bottom that previous letters were on record, and there's numbers and numbers of those. So
Yes,
okay.
We've seen them.
Okay.
What we did is everyone that actually sent emails to the city, they have all been printed out for all council members. They've been forwarded to the council members.
Okay, but what
for
you have in
review.
front of you right now are just the 12 that were sent in last night.
Well, we got a
Something
stack,
like that, yeah.
stack of stuff.
Okay. Also, let me point out that when Mr. Brewer bought this property from Duchess Hamilton, he promised her he wouldn't develop it. And we can see where we're at right now.
Well, you can stop Mr. Press's time for a second, but generally that there wasn't any reason that you didn't buy the property. There wasn't any reason that the members of Idlewild didn't buy it, right? So, we do have a level of private property rights where if someone buys a piece of property, they can develop
They
a
can
piece
flip
of
it.
property, right?
Yeah.
So, I mean, the best way to solve that problem is to buy the land yourself. If you want to keep it vacant forever.
I agree
right?
with that 100%.
Okay.
And I wished I'd have had that thought to
Right.
do such.
Right. Well,
And I would have, but,
yeah, but to expect someone to keep the land just vacant is not a
right. And I get
expectation.
that.
Understand.
But what I'd hate to see is a lot of homes jammed into this property.
Well, I understand. And that's kind of where we are today. But I
Right.
just wanted to clear up that side.
Things that concern me is obviously where my property is.
Right.
The drainage problem.
Yes.
The runoff, the subsurface water flow, the above-ground water flow. I already have a tremendous amount of water right now that comes around the wall that Mr. Hooper had built.
Right.
And my backyard's flooded all the time when it rains.
Right.
Already.
Now, I will note, by the way, that I was here 10 years ago.
Yes, sir.
And that argument, in fact, it was the longest city council meeting I was ever in. And I vowed that it would never get out of control like it did that day.
I'm not going to be here that long today.
No. That was something. But since that time, I mean, the council actually did take to heart drainage issues in that neighborhood. And I think we're to the tune of about $6 million worth of repairs to that area now.
Exactly, because you dug up Old Bullard Road not too long ago.
That's right.
Yeah.
We did Old Bullard. I think we're going to be doing some work on Broadway. And then the work that we did behind the houses.
And I'm going to tell you that we
I mean, so we made
appreciate
some
that so
improvements.
much. We really do.
Yeah, I think we made headway while, there will be.
But how much more
everything.
stress is that going to put on just the neighborhood for sewage
Well,
and
I mean,
drainage?
the sewage issue, we're spending $250 million in the community. So your
Right.
sewage issue has nothing to do with this, and you'll be fine. I
Okay.
guarantee you. After we spend that much money, we fell behind by 30, 40 years.
Well,
So we're
and I've got to say, and
rectifying
I
that.
know what you're saying there, and I appreciate
Yeah.
that, but, at the last zoning committee or, our last city council meeting we had back then,
Yes.
our representative at that time told me in the meeting that we would never have an issue with water flow in my backyard, and I've spent thousands of dollars
Oh, I'm sure you have.
myself.
Yes.
And I still have a problem, and what I was promised never got.
Well, I mean,
Done.
the best promise that we can make is the level of money that we spend in the neighborhood is more than many neighborhoods even saw, right?
Right.
But we can't solve, we can't solve everybody's issue, right? I mean, we have to look overall and the impact that we're having on the overall community in the neighborhood. And then the one or two houses is really difficult to solve.
Somebody
But I mean,
should-
we're still working.
I hate to be the one to take the bullet,
Yeah, I'm
though.
sorry. Well, I'm
Yeah.
just saying. But I know that we're doing tons of work on the sewer system. And we've already lowered the amount of water
Well, it's just
infiltration.
something that my wife and I have to deal with every
I
time it
understand.
rains.
I respect that. But
And-
it's not because we didn't listen to you 10 years ago, because I did. And I have specifically been involved in these projects for 10 years. So when I listen to you,
I would
that
love to
means-
invite you at my house. Right now, today, you can't walk back there, it's so soft because of all the moisture coming. The subsurface
Right,
flow
right.
and the water flow coming, when it hits that wall, it comes around. What was, before you were here, one of the engineers
I
said.
can barely remember.
I remember it well. One of the engineers said, after this project was built, the water will flow off better than what it was before. That's why we had flooding in the streets. So it didn't
What-
dissipate as quick.
Yeah, what we found is we undersized, when they developed the little fast food restaurant over there, we undersized, we approved plans that undersized the drainage underneath Old Bullard.
Yep.
And that's what we have upsized.
Yes, ma'am.
that.
so we can get.
So
back
anyway,
to-
yeah, we can,
Get back.
Right.
you,
Okay,
you and
I'm
I
sorry.
can talk about this afterwards.
Right, yeah, I get it. I get it.
But I mean, you only
I
got me
don't
for
wanna
about
ar-
another
yeah.
month, so it's
Right.
really,
Sir, can I
about
ask
it.
you one question? You
Yes, ma'am.
mentioned- And I could probably ask this to Mr. Brewer when he comes up, but you mentioned that he said when he purchased the property that he was not going to build on it.
He promised, Duchess Hamilton asked him not to develop that property behind the house. So he split, and he bought it and he split it up. I understand he can do what he wants to with it. But, you know, I've had broken promises for years and nothing to do with anybody here, but it just happened, okay? I've heard them and it just happens. Because he did tell her that he would not develop the property. She didn't want it developed, but she wanted to sell the house and move to where her family was, so. But, anything else about that?
I
Okay.
know that you normally do something with property. I mean,
Right.
because It was like what the
Right,
mayor
you
said.
can do what you want to if you own it, I agree with that. I'm afraid of the adverse reaction that it's gonna have on our property values also. You know, he says he's gonna build first it was a private road, then it turns into a city street with curbs and gutters, and, you know, we have extra wide streets in the neighborhood. If he has to build, if he can build back there, hey, I would like to see that same width street, you know, with the curbs and gutters and the proper drainage is a big concern. So I don't know if you can do that with that many homes back there, so. But I would like, if it gets denied today, I would like to see a motion that he couldn't bring this back before planning and zoning or city council, if that's possible.
yeah, it's not possible.
Not
I
possible?
wouldn't do that anyway.
You wouldn't? Okay. Okay, well, I appreciate
It
your
is- It's
time.
legally not allowed, but,
Right.
to do it either, but I wouldn't do it either. so.
Right, well, I have to ask.
Yeah,
So,
yes, sir.
I appreciate your time today, and hope we can get this resolved.
Yep,
Thank
thank you
you.
very much.
Thank you.
Ms. Rusk? Good morning.
Good morning. Kyle, if you would. First, I'd like to thank everyone here. I know y'all must spend hours preparing for these city council meetings and then showing up for us and then taking phone messages from us, meeting with us in public and privately sometimes, and I really appreciate that.
That's why we get paid the big bucks.
Well, and those of you, and I know at least
Yes,
all
ma'am.
of you casually, and I appreciate that. Y'all
Yes,
know
ma'am.
I love civic engagement, and I love my work with the League of Women Voters, or whoever it is, to get people involved and to frankly know more about what they need to know to show up for their government and use their voices.
Right, thank you very much.
And today, yes, I am speaking in opposition to Mr. Brewer's zoning change request. For those of us that live in the neighborhood, this is our third go-around. So from our point of view, we're thinking that we have voted for and we have worked for this twice, and we have won, so to speak, 2 denials because that was the outcome we were hoping for. We're coming here today because he has the opportunity to do that and come to you. But I want to present to you that when you look at this zoning map, and we have 7 against, and I do realize some have said this, that about 7 against and 4 supporting, and 2 of those are Mr. Brewer. So this is our neighborhood, and this is very important to all of us, and we are going to address issues about traffic concerns, the drainage concerns, noise level concerns, parking concerns. That vacant lot is very often covered up with cars for soccer and parties, and it's available to the entire neighborhood, and we appreciate that. Idlewild is an asset to Mr. Brewer. His consultant can say that that's not Idlewild, but when he sells those homes, he will use us for an asset. We are an asset to him. Mr. Brewer is uncertain whether he will stay in Idlewild, but we will. There are some neighbors across there that voted in red that are in their 80s and 90s, and you likely won't hear from them today, so just know that they're part of the people putting their in. When Kyle and others say that there is only a little difference in building there, to us, the plan to build with more than a 50% increase in number of houses, 7 to 11 is more than 50%. This is a huge difference to us. We feel that this is setting precedent there that is not good for our neighborhood. And Kyle, if I may, I'm going to just do this right quick. So this is Idlewild. I know you've seen it, but all the yellow is the voices of dissent, so to speak. This is where we are. And as Kerry has already told you, he can't build what is over there in the little orange section that you see R1B. There's simply not the space. Mr. Brewer can build 7 homes today without your intervention. City Council, tell us our voices matter. Tell us our petitions matter. Tell us that our participation in speaking out to you and asking you to deny this petition matters. There are many other things I could take in more than 3 minutes to say. I don't know that I could tell you something unique. Other than, Mayor, I do want you to know that there are many of us that would have bought Duchess's home. None of us, even her best friends, didn't know it was for sale. We would have grabbed it up in a Dallas minute to do something, or Tyler minute, how about that? A Tyler minute.
We don't
So I
want to
just
be,
want, how about a Tyler minute?
don't compare any
So I
of us.
just want
Don't
to
do
say
that to
that
us.
we would have done that literally to avoid this problem, but we didn't know. I just wanted you to know
Right.
that we really didn't know. So we just ask you to please deny this request and let us stay as we are. Thank you.
Thank you. Mr. Brewer? You want to pass those down? And then we have 2 more cards after this, Mr. Kennedy and then Ms. Roberts. Oh, we have 2 callers on the phone?
First, want to start by saying thank you to everybody spending time all the time on this proposal. You guys have a tough job, and I appreciate the job that you guys do. So to start off, the property is definitely located in an interesting position. You know, it's bordered by commercial. You can see office from that property. At the road, you see multifamily apartments down on south of Broadway. And so when I bought it, so I told Duchess a year or 2 ago that, hey, if you ever consider selling the house, then let me know. I'd like to buy it, specifically the land behind your house, but if the house comes with it, that's part of the deal. So that was back in November when we entered into a purchase contract. And we closed on it in March. And to my knowledge, I don't remember, you know, saying I'm not going to develop that property. In fact, we talked about developing property. They own other property in Smith County that I talked about developing that. So I really don't remember making that promise. And those are the things that are important to me, keeping my word. And so to start off the development process, I started by submitting an application for a neighborhood residential, and that's 20 units for 2 acres, so 10 units an acre. And I met with the pool board, and they asked for a site plan and a buffer against the pool. And so I put a site plan together that included a 25-foot tree buffer along the north side of the property. And the site plan included 15 units of townhomes, so 4plexes and 3plexes. And so I took it before P&Z, and the pool board still was opposed to it, and P&Z denied it. I didn't appeal that decision because I felt like there was a little bit more that I could do to make it more harmonious with the neighborhood. And one of the residents, Stephanie Roberts, had suggested that I make this subdivision like Fairmont, the Fairmont development over off of Grace, across from Grace on Old Jacksonville. It's its own PUR, but it has the characteristics of R1B. And so I came back with R1B zoning, reduced the density to 11, and so came back, and everybody was still opposed to it. Though the city did suggest that they'd be supportive of a PUR development with R1B characteristics. And the PUR not only helps with the 55-foot right-of-way, reducing down to 30 feet. It also allows for a tree buffer along that dog leg on Rice Road. So with current R1A zoning, all those trees are going to go away that's on my property if it gets developed as R1A. And so that would be a benefit to changing to PUR. I'm agreeable to further changes. I just haven't heard anybody from the neighborhood try to propose any changes that would be able to help reasonable development occur. I've verbally agreed with my neighbors, my two next door neighbors, that I wouldn't build a multi-story house with windows looking down on them, pointing to them, and that's kind of the give and take with them supporting this rezoning request. I'm having dinner with one of them tomorrow night. We're on good terms. That because under the current zoning, you can put a 2-story house with windows facing down into all of our backyards, and so I think that's a benefit to the actual people that live there. I've got an exhibit here.
Yeah, Kyle, would you come? I turned off my deal because it was, here we go, I got it.
The hardship with the current zoning, if it's left R1A, then it's undevelopable. You can put 7 houses on it, but the cost to build the road to get back to it, it just makes it financially infeasible. And I'm looking at comparable subdivisions like Copper Creek in this area, that their lot prices, and trying to do financial projections. So I've told the residents in the neighborhood that under the current plan, it's undevelopable financially. And so we've got 2 acres of flat land out of the floodplain land in a good area in the city that the only holdup to getting it developed is zoning. And those 4 extra units make it financially feasible to develop. So to explain the diagram there, so with R1A zoning and you put a street down the middle of the property, you're left with a 28-foot by roughly 100-foot buildable area on each lot, and that's the figures on the left. So you've got about 2,800 square foot of buildable area that include garages and that sort of thing. And on the right, with the PUR, you get to shrink down the right-of-way to 30 feet, and you can have a buildable area of north of 2,700 with R1B zoning. And on the eastern side of the property, because I'm proposing a 15-foot rear setback that adjoins the commercial property. It's similar to in the crossing, Cross Cove. There's some garden homes in the crossing that would fit this model pretty well. So the R1B would move this property from undevelopable to developable property.
Okay, you go ahead and finish with your statement. I've got questions.
Okay.
And Commissioner can come back up too if you want to give me some.
Sure.
technical.
So this current zoning, the PUR, it's got staff support. It meets 100% of the guidelines that you guys use to look at in the UDC. It complies with the future land use guide. Traffic, the additional 4 cars that it would bring onto Richmond Road versus the current R1A zoning, it equates to 1 additional car every 30 minutes during peak hours. And that to me, I live right there. It's my backyard. It doesn't seem terrible to me. So it's my understanding that it's within your guys' power to ask for reasonable changes, including going to PUR and making some changes on PUR that would make this property developable. And I'm all ears. I've been taking notes and kind of listening to what everybody said, and could definitely respond to it. But I guess I'll be quiet now and answer any questions that you guys have.
Would it be economically feasible for you to put the Janelle Street through?
The Janelle Street is even longer than what then a street going down the middle. You're going all the way to the east and then all the way down. So, and there's only 3 lots in Janelle, so.
But you would be able to build larger, more valuable houses.
Yeah, it would not be financially feasible. This property's against commercial property, Taco Bueno.
Yeah, what I'm here, well, let me just, I'll listen to everybody first, but, so which house do you live on? Is it the first one?
No, that's Tom and Jean. They live, and their backyard goes all the way
So
back.
you're in lot 4?
I'm in lot 9.
Yeah, I'm sorry, this is probably an old plat, let me,
So it's probably important to point out that the opposition to the south, that little sliver.
yeah, hold on a second, I want to get,
That's an office
oh,
property.
you're at lot 9?
Yeah, and that's the gentleman that developed Forestwood, it's R1B. He developed Forestwood just right next door. I also, last week, I tried to heed Councilwoman Sellers' advice of having R1A next to the pool by cutting off the top 60 feet of my zoning proposal. And I was told that wasn't procedurally.
Now, what did you say just then? I was thinking.
Okay, so I had some feedback from Councilwoman Sellers that she may be supportive of a proposal that included keeping R1A next to the pool. And I've attempted to cut off the top 60 feet of this zoning request with submitting a new meets and bounds to city staff. And I was told that procedurally that wasn't acceptable. Though
Right now.
I'm being told otherwise from Mr. Priestner.
Okay, so why don't, if anybody have more questions? I'm going to reserve my questions for you for just a little bit.
Okay.
Because we've got 4 other people, but since you're sitting with Mr. Priestner, and even if y'all want to go out, well, you probably want to listen, but you made a statement just then saying that you would modify more, right? And so you're talking about the PR on the street side and now what you just said on that. Would you kind of make a list of that for me?
Sure.
And after we're done with the 4, I want to listen to
Trey, I
those.
do have one thing.
Sure.
Tell us when you're going to develop this. If this gets approved, when will you develop?
It won't be right away.
Do you
And,
have plans?
You know, I've made the analogy of folks with 401ks. You know, they're planning for the future. I'm a future-oriented guy. And so it's like right now, somebody deciding, should I put money in a Roth? Should I convert something from a Roth to not a Roth 401k? And I'm just trying to put the pieces in place for at some point for it to be developed. So
Someday I'd like a 401k. Those sound like good, smart things to do. Yeah, and that's part of the problem being self-employed, that there's not a whole lot of 401ks in my world. Okay, so I have 4 more cards. Is that okay? 2 on the phone, 2 cards.
You're
Let's
the
go ahead and
boss.
do the phones.
You're the boss.
Yeah. For another month. And I'm smiling, so it's okay that I'm not. Yeah, go ahead. Yeah.
Mr. Ted, can you say your name and address for the record, please?
Yes, this is Ted Long. I live at 4811 Trenton Drive.
Where does he live again?
Trenton.
Okay, yeah, gotcha.
Yes, good morning, council members. This is my first time doing this, so if I fumble some words, I apologize. I am considered a new addition to the neighborhood. My wife and I moved here 4 years ago. We've got 2 boys, 3 and 6, and I've watched the neighborhood thrive and grow. You know, new young families coming in all the time, and we love the character of the neighborhood. We love what the neighborhood is. We love the sort of the prestige of the neighborhood. You know, being one of the oldest South Tower developments. immensely prideful or full of pride for the neighborhood, and wish it to stay, the way that it is, and let families come in and better existing properties, but not necessarily add something that's completely outside the spirit of the neighborhood. So that's all I really wanted to say. We love the neighborhood, and we'd like to keep it at the level that it is. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. And Cassandra, just go ahead and go with the other phone call. And thank everybody for the patience. This COVID stuff has made it very hard on all of us to make sure that we get the proper public participation. So I know it's hard on y'all. It's been hard on us as well up here. I don't like all this technology. I'm a throwback.
Okay, Mr. Smith, if you will, state your name and address for the record, please.
Name Thomas Smith. I live at 5000 Richmond Road. My property is adjacent on the south side to this proposed zoning change, and I have the largest residential lot line adjacent to this property, and I am supporting the proposal to change the zoning. But I think the biggest thing is that all the property along Old Bullard and around this area, except in the neighborhood, has changed significantly since the original zoning for these lots. So I think that, updating them to a little bit different zoning isn't that big a deal. It just impacts the drainage of the neighborhood because it's one of the lowest lots in the neighborhood. And then there was not going to affect the pool because the pool's only open 3 months a year, and they're still going to be trimming the pool no matter what is done in this lot. And I don't think it's going to affect traffic that much because it's just a small number of houses. The traffic is already, what it is because you cut through this neighborhood. But, basically, I support change on pro-development. I think that the city council should be pro-development of this area. That's really all I have to say.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you. Any questions of Mr. Smith? Okay. Then the next card is Mark Kennedy.
Can I get those 2 slides up there, the big yellow map and that we had up? I think Mitzi had them up earlier.
Yeah,
Before I get my time started.
Yeah, we won't start your time until
Okay,
that
thanks.
gets going.
It's really good to meet you guys. You guys are really personable, especially the mayor. It's pretty cool. I don't know anybody, so. Okay.
You paid him to say that.
No, I did not.
But,
Well, I'm glad somebody thinks that.
it's like a joke.
I'm not too sure who else does, but
It's kind of a tense place, and you make it a little bit jovial, a little bit, happier. This is Carrie's. This is Carrie's. Did y'all get a copy of Carrie's presentation? That's a copy of Carrie's full presentation. It's amazing. I should just read that. And this is a copy of the deed that Trey made the guy sign with the wording that we're going to talk about. He works for Genicove, by the way. So this is, before we start, I'm going to start off with, good morning, Mayor, City Council, Manager, City Attorney, and City Clerk, wherever they are. I don't know who anybody is. But this is Idlewild, Fran Arlene area, and the Idlewild 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. And all that yellow is R1A. That R1B is 7,500 square foot lots. He wants to put 6,000 square foot lots in a little square in the southeast corner of our area. I've been there for 39 years. I moved there in '81, there wasn't as much development, but all of our, like they said previously, we're all proud of our neighborhood, and this is what the staff recommended from last planning and zone meeting, where the request was denied. On page 2, if you want to go to that, quote, "The proposed density is not consistent with the existing character of large lot single family that was originally established for the area." Quote, "There have not been any re-subdivisions of the original lots below 12,500 square feet." Quote, "Development on this property would visually impact the screening of the Idlewild Pool, in which an important component of this neighborhood has long established character." That tree line, the pool owns those trees. He can't take the trees down because the pool owns them. They're on this.
Well, it's fine. I think I know where, and I'll ask you in a minute just to give you some more
The line there, right
time.
between the pool and his property, his former property that he sold to Marcos Lopez, who was against it, by the way, but he can't comment because of the wording in the deed. He's against the proposal. I talked to him a couple days ago.
So is this what you're referring to then?
Yes, that's the wording.
And can you tell us what this says? I
Okay,
can't
yeah.
read and listen to you.
Okay.
And since that was a question, we'll give you more time, so don't freak out on me.
Okay, thanks.
Don't
man,
get
'cause
too
I'm running
nervous, okay?
Okay, so he acquired the Duchess's house so he could get the other half of the land. I think he may have moved here to this neighborhood for this purpose, because that's immediately, he went to her, and tried to tell her that so he could develop this. I think his purpose for being in the neighborhood was to develop that land, that's what I think. She didn't want him to develop that land. This is during COVID isolation, and she needed to move with her kids. Trey came in before it was on the market and bought it for $204,000, sold it later for $285,000. He did spend some money on fixing it up, but he split the land off and he made a good profit on just the house. Now he has the land for free. There's nothing wrong with making a profit, but I feel like this was a widow, and I'm not sure if she knew what was going on. Before he sold the house for $81,000 more than he paid for it, he added the new language to the deed that forces owners to waive any objections to the ability to protest. AG, quote, AG, R1A, R1B, R1D, PUR, PMF, or any other zoning classification, unquote, of structure that Trey chooses to put there. I think if Trey wanted to put a single-family gas station behind the guy's house, he couldn't object. I could be wrong about the gas station. But this is in the deed. I don't know if this is not, I don't think this is like very common. I spoke to the new owner personally, and him and his mother bought it. They're against developing behind their house, but they can't say anything. I'm not sure I'm not sure that wording is enforceable, but I'm not a real estate attorney. I spoke 2 times before the Planning and Zoning Commission against the applications, first with PR, which was denied, then on the second application for R1B, which was also denied. That's what the Planning and Zoning Commission is for. That's what they get paid for, if they get paid, I'm not sure.
No, none of us
That's what they
do.
don't get paid for. And they overwhelmingly denied it both times. The pool, if you take out the neutral votes, was 97% against it. And that makes up 56 of 58 people. The original conscientious owners of those lots put those together and abandoned the street for the good of the neighborhood to have a buffer. Tom Smith has a buffer because he has 2 lots. He's kept his other half. He's kept his back lot so he has a buffer. He doesn't, and he's got, he's got the commercial next to him, and he's got a buffer between everything. He's got nothing. He's got no reason to complain. But the guy that bought the house don't like it, but he can't say nothing. So here's the, you can talk about the drainage issue, the traffic issues, the legal. I got legal objections too, from this Tyler Unified Development Code. This zone change is incompatible with Article 1, Division A, Section 10.8. We're directed to build houses like existing houses. The proposed development does not meet the neighborhood character, and we need to be protecting the character of established neighborhoods as stated in the City Unified Development Code. Number 4, protect the character of established residential neighborhoods. Number 13, enhance Tyler's public realm of trees, attractive streetscapes, and public gathering places. And this is going to screw up the, no matter, you know, this is still going to screw up the pool area. I mean, I'm not anti-development, but he came here, he knew it was R1A, you know, when he bought it. And this is an R1A neighborhood. And so there's no, if it's financially not feasible for him to develop it, he shouldn't have bought it. The bottom line is that the zoning change will open the door to future zoning changes, and higher density residential would add to many problems we're experiencing. And as we all know, once you start downgrading the zoning in the middle of an established neighborhood, it's a slippery slope for future changes. Once you start screwing with the R1, all the zoning, that's what happens. I can talk about density, I can talk about decreased property value, I can talk about increased traffic. Like this Marcos is my friend now, actually, I think. He has 4 cars on the street, if he puts 11 houses in there, you can't, there's no way you're gonna be able to push a stroller down the street or ride your bike or back out of your car, out of your house. It'll be like, backing out of, Old Bullard. So we're losing green space, we're losing, it's gonna mess up our historic park, and it's gonna violate the City Unified Development Code and future land use guide.
Well, thank you for your time and your comments. One thing that I will say, and I'm going to have Kyle come up. Would you come up, Kyle? When we're looking at P&Z issues, financial issues, between the parties and different issues relating to is it legal what the purchase was and how it was handled, all that stuff is actionable items through the court of law. That is above our pay grade, okay?
Okay, yeah.
We are just looking at zoning.
Okay, I just want to make you aware of what.
But that's fine, but I just want to make sure that everyone knows that's not anything that we deal with up here. Kyle, I got a question for you. You mentioned something, and we've had this question over the years about the Unified Development Code. And how that works. He was talking about how it's not legal, and that might be something you want Deborah to chime in on, but that is something that you answer first, because you do it. Answer my question. Was it not a question? Good enough? The question is that, I'll lay it out for you better then. The Unified Development Code is a guide for the future. It does not specifically get into the minutia of each tract of land. But I would like for you to describe that from planning perspective and not from my casual language.
Sure. So the Tyler First Comprehensive Plan establishes kind of the guiding principles for development in the city, and then the Unified Development Code has some, intents and, mission kind of guiding statements that are essentially pulled from Tyler First. In terms of criteria that's used for zoning changes or development, the UDC does have a list of criteria, and that compatibility with the existing neighborhood is one of those, neighborhood character is one of those, I think it's 6 criteria. And so we do review every zone change for that or against those criteria, and that is really one of the main things that we're, we disagreed with on this proposal, and any suggestion towards maybe a different classification or a PUR, like I mentioned, would be with the intent of making that or achieving that criteria, so getting closer to consistency with that requirement.
Gotcha. Thank you. And
So it
go ahead,
does
I'm sorry.
meet the Unified Development Code?
This proposal for R1B, no, we
No?
don't, right, we don't, as staff, we didn't think that this proposal would be meeting that one criteria for the compatibility with the existing neighborhood. And in terms of just reviewing the existing form of development, the existing, density, it is these lots are oversized R1A lots, but that is the reality here. So when we reviewed those criteria, we didn't feel that it met that.
Okay, thank you. Okay, we have Ms. Roberts, I lost your card up here already. I don't know where it is, but I remembered. I was looking for it just a second ago. Oh, here it is.
Good morning. I feel like I have become the wrap-up girl.
We saved the best till last.
You are.
Well, I don't know about that. I had my lovely presentation and appearing to be the wrap-up person, I think that's out the window. My husband Randy and I reside at 4520 Richmond Road. We moved into the neighborhood over 30 years ago. Our intent was to live there a few years and then build on a lot in another neighborhood that we owned. We obviously fell in love with the neighborhood, and over 30 years later, we plan to be there till they carry us out. So,
Well, let's hope that's not for a while.
well, we hope so too. This is a very unique neighborhood. This is the neighborhood that we all think we grew up in. The neighborhood where we stayed outside and played with our friends until our moms called us in for dinner. It's that kind of neighborhood. It's a loving, caring neighborhood. The traffic issues are such that children can and do play in the streets sometimes. I see mothers strolling every day. I see older siblings taking their younger siblings to friends' homes. So traffic is a big issue for Randy and me. We feel that the formulas don't necessarily represent in truth what happens. I know we have a neighbor that there are 4 residents and 2 drivers. They own 3 vehicles. Soon they will be adding a 3rd driver and a 4th vehicle. In a couple of years, they'll add another driver and probably another vehicle. So we see traffic as an issue. These particular neighborhoods have room in their driveway and in their garage to park all 5 vehicles if it comes to that. So we see that is an issue. We also are very concerned about drainage and the sewer. We have had the city sewer in our home. I now regularly see a city truck outside my home pumping the sewer, and let me tell you, I'm very grateful for that. I understand that we are on a regular schedule. Years ago, we had discussions with city staff, and we understand the limitations of that sewer system, and today was the first time I heard that the city is looking to address some of those things.
Oh, yes, very much so.
So
We have been the last couple of years.
We're very pleased to hear that.
Big time.
The last time I was here addressing the drainage issues, and I passed out photographs of our yard that was flooded. It happens with a heavy rain. I am very aware of the 2 projects that have taken place, and they have done a lot to improve the drainage. However, our yard still floods.
Right.
And as we all know, when you alter the natural course of water, you're going to have issues. There used to be naturally occurring retention ponds where there is now commercial development. That's when the real problem started. Mm-hmm. Looking at adding several more homes, lots more asphalt, we see more drainage issues, and we're very concerned about that. Overall, we see that this is not in keeping with our neighborhood, and we respectfully ask you to deny this. I would like to address the fact that Mr. Brewer brought up the fact that we had a conversation about Fairmont. I did suggest he look at that. This was back when he was proposing townhomes. And I thought that his plan was to stick with townhomes, and I said, go look at Fairmont. They're garden homes. They are more the size and keeping with this neighborhood. It's a wide street, there's additional parking provided, and that was my reason for suggesting that he look at alternatives. The neighborhood that he mentioned is a neighborhood that when I was actively selling real estate, I showed over there, I've been there. The crossing, I believe, was mentioned. There is not adequate parking there for the residents. It is a nightmare. And that's what I foresee when we try to put this many homes into this small an area. You can't count on 2 vehicles per home. There's not enough room to provide additional parking. And so we see that as an issue. I think you realize that the neighborhood would not be opposing what he can legally develop right now. And we're asking that you leave the zoning R1A.
Thank you, Ms. Roberts.
Thank you.
Yeah, would you help him get that turned on silent if you don't mind? Thank you.
Okay, any questions?
Any questions?
I
Yes.
still have some about the sewer pumping.
Sure.
Okay.
And I had asked the city manager to have someone here to address that from the city side.
Mm-hmm.
Can we do that?
Yes, here she is.
Ooh, my sewer friend.
Good morning. Yes, so we are on a annual cleaning schedule for our sewer line. So if you see someone out there cleaning, pumping, flushing lines, that is what they're doing. They have a regular annual schedule for the entire system, but that includes your neighborhood as well.
I can assure you they're much more than annually.
Yeah, well, that's good. That's good.
And I love to see them during the daytime. It's when they wake me at night that I get up and I start checking to see if the sewer's coming in. Because
Right.
if they're out in the night, somebody's got a problem.
So that neighborhood is not getting any more than the rest of the neighborhoods with regard to that?
No, ma'am. It is my understanding that it's just our typical recurring maintenance.
Okay, thank you.
Several years ago, in dealing with neighborhood services.
Well, come back to that
Okay,
microphone.
sorry. Several years ago, when we first had issues in dealing with neighborhood services, we were told that the issue was neighborhood services. You know those people.
Yes, I
They're
know.
your
Yes,
you know who I'm talking about.
Yeah, but I'm wondering why you're talking to them anyway.
Well, because I had a contact in that office, and I believe it, and he was familiar with the system.
Okay.
I'm not. He asked me. He told me this in confidence, so I'm not going to tell you who it was. I can't tell you he's retired.
Yeah, that's fine.
So-
I know who it'd be. but
Okay,
that's-
well,
that's-
what we were told was our sewer system was designed when the neighborhood was designed. At that time, there were homes on Old Bullard Road, mostly farmhouses, that had their own systems, and that as that developed, the commercial tied in to our system.
Well, you'll be very happy to know that you're going to have the opportunity, like all citizens of the city, to pay more for your water and sewer cost because we're spending $250 million upgrading the sewer system in this
I
community.
am so excited.
Good, thank you very much.
Send me that bill.
And that is something that the federal government has required us to do.
Well,
And we're
I
doing
am
So-
very aware that we have drainage issues all over this city. I've worked
Yes,
on
ma'am.
some city committees looking at those things.
Well,
So
we're more than happy after the meeting to
stick
set-
around and you'll show me the plan.
Oh, you can stick around and you can talk to staff all day long about drainage.
Thank you.
Thank you. Okay, so, Mr. Priestner? And before you start in on Kyle, on the definition of the Unified Development Code, I would probably take your opinion that that is a guide, but it also doesn't deal with specific little tracts around those type of areas. It's a general guide overall for the community, and it should not be a document that...
More importantly...
Because it's not changing, you're not changing from residential.
Right, but more importantly, the future land use map actually shows this as medium-low residential. So
it
this is
does?
completely 100% consistent with the
Can I
future
get a
land
map
use
on
map.
that, Kyle? You got a map of that? Give me, well,
Should be in-
don't let Mark talk, and then you bring it back for
Yeah,
me.
so.
Give me about 5 minutes.
Real quickly, so the difference in whether or not it's consistent with the comprehensive plan is Kyle's interpretation of what does it mean to be protecting neighborhood, what is the wording, neighborhood character.
Yeah,
So
right.
what is neighborhood character? State law only says that if a city has both zoning and a comprehensive plan, zoning has to be consistent with that comprehensive plan,
Right.
which is the future land use map.
Right.
This is 100% consistent with the future land use map. The question on neighborhood character becomes subjective. We don't have a definition. We don't have criteria of what is neighborhood character. Is it the amount of brick and stone on a house? Is it the height of the house? Is it the windows? Density is controlled by the future land use map. The fact that it says medium and low density takes out the whole 12,500 square foot lot minimum is not even a question here. So even the 9,000 square foot, it is consistent with the future land use map, which shows this to be appropriate for medium density residential, which is what we are proposing. The R1B falls in between low density and medium density, and that's where we are.
Okay, so, does anybody have questions of Mark? Because I've got some more. I don't want to. Okay, so, I don't really like this forum. I don't really like this forum after it's been to P&Z twice, right, and been denied, and with the amount of neighbors against it and the denial of, was it 5-1 both times?
Yeah, but, I would say if anybody was at the meeting, the denial at P&Z was really, this whole COVID thing is strangely done. They were
Correct.
told during the meeting that what they could do is deny the R1B and recommend a PUR. That was asked by one of the commissioners in the meeting.
Right.
My feeling is that they thought they were denying the R1B to then do the R1A, do the PUR, but it was just denied.
It actually.
I think there's some confusion.
I will tell you that I've done this for a long time now. This case confuses me.
Right.
Because of, and Trey now bringing up that he went in originally for 20 units and now 15, now 11. I'm actually confused too.
Yeah.
And
we're still in favor, at P&Z, we were in favor of doing a PUR with
Right.
R1B restrictions and then adding a buffer on the north side, which, was kind of the intent of what everybody was looking for.
Yeah,
And we're still in favor of that.
Look, I don't know if this is the forum today to do it, Mark, and Mr. Brewer. But I do know that there's no reason this land shouldn't be developed, right? And to keep it as R1A, all of a sudden you have that 60-foot street that is going to rip down some of those trees that are additional buffer for that. So, I would prefer some sort of format besides right now, and I know there's been 4 meetings, but the neighborhood's really going to have to resign to the fact that something's going to be built there. And then Mr. Brewer's really going to have to work with them to get, I think it should be.
Well, one of the things that
when I started this whole mayor, city council thing, I was not a fan of PUR.
Right.
Right? And I think you remember that, and
Yeah.
Kyle remembers, and everybody, I wasn't a fan. But I actually do think a PUR is the right way to go here.
What I would recommend is, what about tabling it until next month? We bring back the PUR.
Can't table it. I checked that last
What's
evening.
that?
We can't table it.
Why?
I checked with the city manager about that.
The council can table it.
So Trey can't table it, we can table it.
Yeah, well, we could request it to be tabled, but it has to be an action of the
Okay,
council.
because I'm leaving,
Mark, one of the things that bothers me is that he has no plans to develop right now.
Well, okay, let's go back to the legal authority of council. We're looking at land use and what is developed, not when it's developed. So if we're looking at what this is going to be and how it's going to be developed, there is no criteria in the city in any of its codes or ordinances that says you have to start construction within 6 months, 12 months, 5 years, 10 years.
No, but Mark, I've always had the opinion that outside some of these huge zoning things that we've just done, I mean, they're huge, right? And we're way in advance on those. But they're such big tracks. But on the infill tracks, you know, I want to see it really be very close to the time that it is being done.
Well, the problem is you can't start
That's
planning
correct.
until you
I
know
agree.
what it is.
On this case, I definitely agree.
Right.
But that's what I'm saying. There's got to be some, I don't know if it's been, you know, I'm not going to say it's the neighborhood being difficult, Mr. Brewer being difficult. I haven't been in any of the meetings, I don't know. But yeah, I do think that it has to be negotiated out. In this specific case, I really do. But I would favor a PUR that puts an entrance away, as far away as you can from the pool area, and leave, you know, as Linda stated, that, and Trey mentioned something, maybe an R1A right there next to the pool.
Well, if we do it as a PUR, we can just leave it as a buffer, a landscape
Right,
buffer that
just
has
leave it as a
nothing-
buffer, but,
right,
you know,
that has
go
no
ahead
buildable area.
and because I guess, you know, obviously with Mr. Smith on the phone, he has the right to develop that track too. And so I'm assuming that that'll be involved in the conversation. I don't know. Maybe he's gonna hold that for a later date. But is Trey, since Trey lives in, it's not Trey.
Yeah, Trey.
It
Is
is
it Trey?
Trey.
I'm sorry.
Yeah.
I'm sorry. But Mr. Brewer lives in one of the houses. I'm assuming the houses on the street, the two that he owns, one's a rent house and one's the other. Is that going to be incorporated in this or not incorporated?
No,
in this?
that's his house, that's where he
Right,
lives.
and the other one's not incorporated in this?
I've sold that house
Yeah.
and I wanted to be upfront with folks that bought it and tell them what could happen there, so they.
Okay. Oh, that's what
Yeah.
you.
So it's a
you were
separate
talking
lot,
about.
it's different ownership.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor?
Sure, please, you can ask anything.
So, Mr. Mark, I've listened very attentively, but you just presented a different narrative that has not been brought out. And you said that it's consistent with the future land map. And you said that the character is subjective. So now I guess I really want to know why P and Z may have denied if, in fact, everything is in
Well,
consistency with.
Again, I can't answer to that. You know, again, all I can say is, you know, this comes down to, again, this is a difference of opinion between myself and staff, and it, you know, comes down to, you know, again, how do you define residential character? Because that's all the wording says. There are no criteria in it. There are no, you know, what does that mean? What does it include? Nothing's in there. But what is in there is the future land use map itself and what that designation is. And so that density is based on that designation.
Right, okay. Thank you.
Mr. Mayor, point of clarification, if we did choose to table this, would it come back to council or would it go to P&Z for the PUR?
This
It'd
is
come
an
back to
appeal.
council.
Come back.
Yeah, it's, the council can reduce the land area and put a more restrictive use on it at any time. So a PUR is more restrictive than R1B, therefore it wouldn't need to go back.
Yeah, we can't downzone, we can upzone.
Right, and you can't increase area, you can
Right.
decrease area.
Can't downzone anything. Kyle, any other questions? Kyle, do you have that land use deal for me? Is it in the packet?
Yeah.
Oh, yeah, it's a
Yeah, it's
future.
right here.
A single-family, medium-low density.
So single-family, medium, low density would be R1A and R1B zoning. So, like
Okay.
I mentioned, it is consistent with that, yes.
Okay, good.
Yeah.
Okay. I thought it was too, actually.
Right. And the question about compatibility, you know, the code does say that it's the burden of persuasion is on the applicant to demonstrate that it is compatible, so
Right.
maybe we could still get that today, but what staff was really getting at was kind of where we're at right now is perhaps the R1B by itself would not meet that criteria, but with a PUR and some other design elements and considerations for the existing neighborhood would allow it to be compatible. So that's kind of where we landed as staff, that maybe the application as is was not, but there is a way to get there. And so it sounds like the applicant has agreed to look at that PUR as well.
Yeah, okay. Fair enough. I have a hand up, and you can come back up, Ms. Cross, but one time, because the last time we did zoning in this thing, we had my friend, I can't remember his name because we had a nickname for him, so I'm not going to say his nickname in front of council, but he was just in the back yelling and screaming the whole time, so we're not going to do that. But one time, come on back.
Can we have a break?
Just 10 seconds. I just want to say that there is no one in opposition to Mr. Brewer building 7 homes. We want to be perfectly clear. We have no opposition to 7 homes. We asked Mr. Brewer to come forward to us with a proposal of any kind for 7 homes, and he said he could not do that.
Okay.
I believe that he can. He works for Genicov, and he has access to all of these assets, all of these consultants. You notice we did not bring a consultant with us today, so I just want to be clear with everyone on the council. We are not opposing building under R1A 7 homes.
Great.
Thank you.
Great.
Just answered my question. Thank you, Ms. Ruff.
Thank you. Okay. You got 30 seconds.
Okay. So the Planning and Zoning Commission denied it last time. These are the quotes again. The proposed density is not consistent with the original existing character of large lot single family that was originally established for the area. And quote, there have not been any re-subdivisions of the original lots below 12,500 square feet. Quote, the development of this property would visually impact the screening of the outer well pool, which is an important component of the long-established character of the neighborhood. So the density was one of the primary reasons why they didn't approve it last time, because it was too many houses.
Thank you.
11 was too many houses.
Thank you very much. Okay, so I think if there's not any more questions, Linda just asked for a recess, and I better give it to her for just 1 second. So
We've been sitting here for 2 hours now.
well, that is shorter than the 5.5 hours on the last 10 years ago that I'll never forget. No, I think it was only 2.5 or 3 hours on this one, and then the homeless facility we're having issues came after y'all. I don't know if y'all stayed for that. That was
5 minutes.
5-minute break. Right now. 5-minute break. Deborah, are you going to have comments?
I'm not.
Okay, please do. You're welcome to have them, Deborah. It is interesting, isn't it? I'm going to put my mask on to go outside. Yeah, I'm sorry. Okay, so we're gonna give it a minute more, but, I just want to talk to staff about how I'm mad that they've hidden my Kit Kats. Since I'm not gonna be mayor for another month, I mean, if y'all just quit buying them? Is that it? Really? That's all I ask. I don't even get paid, Luann. I just want my Kit Kat.
I don't think there's anybody in here that can get your Kit Kats for you.
That's it.
Oh, you like those?
That's a Jennifer.
Yeah, I'm gonna go find Jennifer.
They are good.
Yep. It's almost holiday season and Sam's stocks chocolate truffles that are dusted in cocoa.
Oh, I love those.
That's my weakness. I love truffles.
There wasn't anything to eat.
I know, I said, we gotta do better.
She spoiled us, didn't she?
Yeah, they spoiled me.
Okay, she just said the city's saving money, not buying my Kit Kats.
We said she spoiled us and we expect it.
Do they have one down there? Oh, that's great.
Okay, city clerk, can you herd them back in now? We're ready.
Well, we've
Oh,
got
Roderick.
legal's still talking, so. We'll start back up when legal gets finished with their analysis. You're still meeting? Well, I'm gonna call them up first thing to talk about what they're talking about, so, I mean, I can't start the meeting if they're still talking. And I don't know if we could start with Z4 and just move forward on it, but I don't.
Z2?
Well, Z4, I think.
Oh, okay.
I think we have someone on the phone. No?
Z4?
No, we have someone on the phone, I believe, for. C2?
C2.
Okay.
And then you got one card for Z3.
Oh, I do?
One card.
Are you Z3 or Z4? Okay, I don't think I have a card for Z4. Cassandra?
What's the name? Gerald, Z3, I'm sorry.
That must be hers.
You're Marcia Wilson? Yes. Okay, good, okay. I wanted to make sure you filled out a card if you hadn't. No, just Kit Kat, that'd be awesome. Oh, that's okay, then don't worry about it. It's really no big deal. My wife told me I need to be on it. No, my wife wants
He
me on
was
it.
making it a big deal, but
It's okay. My wife wants me to lose weight anyway, so. But she's out of town, so she doesn't know what I'm eating right now. She doesn't know about the Whataburgers. I'm trying to do the Whataburger chicken salad, though. Try to be better, right?
It don't matter, honey.
They say
Right
it's
now,
390 calories. It's not bad. Since I eat about 10:30 at night, when I get finished work, right? So
You'll explain that this break had to do with legal and not just.
that's correct, yes, but we're all here.
Yes. Oh, man, Roderick.
The score.
man. We're not through yet.
There you go, sir.
Thank you so much.
We all get one?
Yes, ma'am, absolutely. I'll just take the crunch.
Your choice, or both.
Oh, strawberry
Yes.
apples. I'm finishing. Thank you. We're going to call back to order the city council meeting. Thank you very much. We took a 5-minute recess, and then I think legal staff wanted another 5 minutes. So they're now back in the room. So whatever y'all were talking about, who's going to report back to us? Okay, well, y'all get started.
Mayor and council, we do know that council seems to be.
Pull the mic down a little bit.
Certainly.
Yeah, I mean, you can keep that on if you want, but I want to be able to hear every word you're saying.
We do understand that the council seems to be having some desire to allow the developer to do something different than what is currently at the council right now. Council does have authority to lower the area, to do something different. One of the concerns that legal department has with respect to going outside of what the current appeal is, R1A to R1B, and maybe going into a PUR, is that if there is additional considerations with respect to the PUR, individuals that were within the notice area have not had the opportunity like they have had at previous times through the Planning and Zoning Commission to get the notice, understand what the developer is proposing, and to be able to, again, just like they did today, come out and speak to the council, speak to the commission about those different items. What we have today is an R1A and an R1B conflict. And the council is here today on the R1B specifically. You can table it and the R1B still comes back, the specific item. That doesn't mean that your authority on that item is limited in that. But we do believe that there might be a challenge with respect to the noticed area if we change it. So, recommendation, I'm going to ask Kyle to come up and talk to you a little bit about what the recommendation would be for council action today from staff's perspective.
Okay.
Well, if that's the will of the council to want to give the applicant the opportunity to try different zoning, do the PUR, that they would have you would have the ability to send that back through Planning and Zoning Commission, let the applicant know that that's the request or the desired zone change that you may want to consider. The other option would be to deny the request and have the applicant come back and reapply and start the process again. The applicant, if it's going to a PUR, there would be no requirement to wait 6 months because it's not the same zoning that they're asking for today. They haven't. So the request right now is to R1B. It hasn't been formally amended to PUR, so So there's not that 6-month wait that would be required if they were asked for R1B again. Essentially, the options would be really to take it back through the planning commission process and afford those 2 public hearings that the public's required to have.
Okay, I'm a little confused, so let me start asking questions.
Me too.
Okay. It's great to have lawyers, but they confuse me. Make me think anyway. So, all right. So you're saying to me that if we cannot table it here for them to come back in 1 month, because we've already expressed our desire, and I'll express it again, to modify it to a PUR, and not to be the PUR that's an R1B like. I mean, it would have to go through some modifications, right? So you're saying that we're not able to appeal it back here, but they can go back to city council, to P&Z.
It's a little more nuanced than that, sir. And
Okay.
I apologize. Let me
Okay,
try to be
good.
more clear. Council does have the authority to lower the area. The council has the authority to table it and to have it come back to council as a PUR. However, going through all of that, it will be council's responsibility, obligation to put on all the restrictions and requirements that council would want to see on a PUR. Council will then be doing that themselves. If council preferred and allowed this to go back to the Planning and Zoning Commission, which is the entity that really handles those issues initially, what the PUR is, what the conditions are, and as well as it gives the people that are within the notice area the opportunity to handle those items within the Planning and Zoning Commission. It just brings it back through the full process. You don't have to do that though, sir. You could do what you are suggesting here. However, I do believe that brings up an issue legally, a concern at this point in my mind about the ability of the people that should be in the notice zone, would have been in the notice zone to I guess, fully be able to understand what the developer is planning to do in his PUR and having the opportunity to respond to that during the normal course of our planning process. And you can do it at planning and zoning, or you can do it here.
And if it goes back to P&Z, is it not, it's not required to do the 6 months?
If council denies the R1B here, that's on the R1B. They can, as I understand it, go back on the PUR without any, okay.
So,
and council could waive the application fee if that's an issue.
yeah, I definitely. I'll leave it up to discussion here, but before I really state my opinion. But I do think that it somehow P&Z needs to make a real good effort of working with these neighbors. I mean, they've made some statements. Mr. Brewer's made some statements, and Mr. Priestner. I really think they're going to have to get on the same page. And they're not far from the same page, by the way. But there's some items that need to be dealt with doesn't seem that all the meetings that have occurred have dealt with them. But I think the owners in the neighborhood, I mean, have stressed that they understand there's going to be a development there. And I'm expressing that there should be a development there. That the day of just saying, well, that should be a buffer, and then not owning that buffer is the issue, right? But on a PUR, there are some legal buffering that can be done that the applicant has already stated that he's willing to do if it's a smaller street.
I'd like to say that I think I'm being swayed by the fact that Mr. Brewer does not plan to develop the property immediately. And there's time to work these things out. Again, we did meet 4 times, but I think with your guidance, Kyle, my preference would be to go back to planning and zoning and start over with the PUR. I mean, I'm like the mayor, I'm totally confused. But that's my feelings.
What is your definition of immediately? Because I know it takes time to lay out your plan and progress.
Well, it was my understanding that if they went back to planning and zoning with PUR, they would not have to wait, right? If they refile as PUR.
That's right.
Yeah, and I would, if we're gonna go back through that route, I do want to waive the fee, because I mean, it's really an ongoing issue that he's probably already paid 2 fees or something. Yeah, he doesn't need to pay again. But then there's gonna, yeah, I mean, it needs to get resolved though, for sure, because he needs to be able to move forward. Sure.
What are you comfortable with happening on that property, Mr. Brewer?
She's asking.
Okay, Mr. Brewer, come on up.
Can I ask for clarification?
Right, considering that the people that live in that neighborhood are objecting to what your actual proposal is there a different proposal that you may be comfortable with?
Yes, there is. There'd be PUR, 11 houses, no windows on the west side of the street facing the neighbors that live along the road, a 10-foot natural buffer on the dog leg, and then an 8-foot privacy fence where the pool has a chain link fence. The mayor asked us to come up with some things.
You said an 8-foot fence?
Yes, sir.
Wood fence?
Wood privacy. Right now, it's just chain linked.
Mm-hmm.
And there's not, a tree buffer wouldn't do privacy as well as a wood fence.
So there's no consideration for any less than 11 houses?
It's it can't be developed.
What kind of houses, what kind of size are you looking at building?
So the buildable area on these would be 2754 on the east side and 2214 on the ground floor on the west side. So the 2 northern houses on Richmond Road are roughly 2,300 square foot heated and cooled. So my target would be to be around 2,300 heated and cooled.
And then the 30-foot street, or is it 30-foot, 40-foot street?
It'd be a 30-foot street.
And so that would be tucked in on the south side of the property, right? Or the entrance?
Yes, so you probably have coming from the south to the north, 10 feet for utilities, and then the 30-foot, it's the same street as our R1A street, same size street, it's just the right-of-way is 30 feet. And then north of that, I would try to keep the grade of the street as natural as it is, so that the contractors don't have to grade the trees. So north of the street,
That's
yeah,
do that.
Yeah, as much as I could maybe 10 to 15 foot of a natural buffer there. Because there are some trees on my side of the property there.
Yeah, but,
Some on the pool too.
Yeah, but you wouldn't build up so much on the north side to hurt the trees by covering up the roots too much.
Yeah, I don't want to do that.
Yeah, good.
And if we did table this, or if the desire for the council was for me to work with the neighbors again, some level of direction on who to work with, and it just, from the beginning, it changes, and I'm at a loss as to who, there's no president, HOA president or anything like that to work with, so I'm at a loss as to who to work with. I've satisfied a lot of folks, and they're not here today, but so any direction you guys could provide would be very helpful.
Yeah, I think that, P&Z is going to need to help nail this down better.
I agree. And I make the motion to deny today only in order for you to work it out, to go back to P&Z. I mean, we've spent 2.5 hours and I'm still confused. So my motion is to deny and allow you to go back to P&Z.
For pure, and then it won't have to go through the 6-month process.
Right, without the 6-month process.
And can you say that we're going to add in there?
And waive any fees related to this zoning issue.
Is there any direction you guys can give to work it out?
I'll be more than happy. Really, I'm on extra innings here as mayor. And those extra innings in next month, I'll be more than happy to talk with somebody in the neighborhood and with you and Linda because it's her district, to see if we can't move the ball
The
forward.
summer's over now, so there won't be fire ants out there, and so the meetings will be better, right, Trey?
Yeah, but I'll work with Linda, and I'll work with.
Comfortable with that?
And I'll comment to. I normally don't comment to P&Z, but I'll comment to P&Z as well.
Thank you.
In fact, I haven't done that in 10 years, so, but I'll do it this time.
I appreciate it.
And Deborah, you're looking at me like, uh-oh. Yeah.
Remember, the council is the arbitrator of future decisions related to this as well.
Yeah, and I won't be, and I'll actually not be in for the final decision on this because I'll be out of office. So that frees me up to.
Could we delay this 8 months? Maybe I do want that 6 months.
Okay, so I have a motion and a second. Are there any other discussions? I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, we have 4 votes for. Then we will move on to Z2.
Thank you to the neighbors. You have worked really hard at this.
Thank you. And hopefully COVID will be done and we can spend some more time, right? Okay, Z2, only because we have someone on the phone, and then I'm going to move, well, Z3 will be next. So Z2, go ahead.
Okay. This is a zone change from R1A to R2. R2 is 2-family residential district. The applicant's requested the zone change to allow for the development of a duplex. The properties to the northwest and south are zone R1A. To the north are undeveloped, and to the west and south are developed with single-family homes. The properties to the east were recently rezoned to PUR, Planned Unit Residential District, and with the site plan establishing 2-unit townhomes with that, which are essentially duplexes, but with each unit on its own lot. So to the east is essentially a duplex development as well. The request would amend the future land use guide from single-family medium low density to single-family and single-family attached medium high density. The applicant's requesting the zone change in order to allow for the development of a single duplex. The applicant is the developer of the projects in this area that we've seen over the past year. This is the last piece that they're working through like I mentioned, to the east, developed or approved for 50 units, essentially 50 townhome units. To the southeast is R1D with townhomes as well.
I'm not laughing at you.
No, you're good.
I'm laughing at the Kit Kats that just got delivered.
And then finally to the south, near Willowbrook, where we looked at that one, and that's approved for townhomes as well, but they are situated as duplexes. And so the applicant is the developer of all these projects here, and he plans to build a home or a duplex on this property for himself and for his project manager. Of the notices that were sent out, none were returned in favor or in opposition to the zone change request, and the Planning and Zoning Commission by a 7-0 vote recommends approval.
Any questions? We have someone I think the applicant on the phone, but if there's not any questions, Shirley, do you have any?
Move to approve.
Shirley's writing a note. A motion to approve?
Z2.
Z2.
Second.
Second from Westbrook. Do you have any questions? Shirley?
No, sir.
Okay, good. I just want to make sure. So I have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
This next request is a zone change from R1A single family to RMH residential manufactured home district. This is in council district number 3. The applicant's requesting the zone change to allow for a manufactured home to be placed on the property. The adjacent properties to the northeast and west are zone R1A, and to the north is currently undeveloped, but to the east and west are developed with single-family homes. The properties to the south are zone R2 and are developed in single-family homes. This request would amend the future land use guide from single-family medium low density to single-family and single-family, actually it'd be consistent with the future land use guide, single-family medium low density. The applicant is requesting to allow for a manufactured home. The applicant plans to demolish the current structure on the property and replace it. The residential structure will comply with the rules and regulations of HUD, or the federal standards for factory-built homes. The manufactured home is different from a modular home. The modular homes are going to meet all local building codes and be on a foundation. This home will be built to federal codes, but they are also appropriate standards for residential units. The one thing to note is that while it is zoned for manufactured homes, the property is not large enough to allow for more than one manufactured home.
That was my question.
Yeah, and there's a 10-acre minimum on manufactured home parks, so this is not large enough, so it would be limited to one manufactured home. Of the notices that were sent, 0 were returned in favor, and one in opposition from a property owner just to the northeast there. You can kind of make out the opposition there. It's just under, or it's 0.27% is the protest. And the Planning and Zoning Commission by a 7-0 vote recommended approval.
The applicant is here, but are there any questions? You're more than welcome to come speak.
Do
Or
we
you-
have a photograph of what that manufacturer?
Yeah, come on
looks
up,
like?
Miss Wilson.
She might. I don't.
No?
She may have it though.
Good morning. I am Marsha Wilson, and I reside at 1215 West 34th Street in Tyler, Texas. I am requesting a zoning change because I'm not able to afford a home built on a concrete foundation, but I am able to afford one of these type homes. Getting a mobile home or manufactured home in this area, it would not bring down anyone's home value. I've been in this location for about 30 years. There are 2 brand new brick houses that are across the street from me, but on my side of the street, there has not been like any improvement in almost 30 years. We patched all of our houses. Over here, there is, around the corner from me, about less than a half a mile, because I do walk there sometimes, by the scrap and metal, there is a trailer house that is already there for a fishing hole, what they house. So it is already trailer houses there. And at the Planning and Zoning Committee, we also discussed that there was also trailer houses across the street from Texas College on West 26th Street. There are 2 double-wide trailer houses that are used for duplexes. So, but me getting a home, this type of home, where I am located, it would probably really increase the value of everybody else's home. I took pictures of the trailer houses for the system, and I emailed them in. I don't know if she received them, but the neighborhood, like I said, there's room for a lot of improvement here. But in the 30 years that I've been there, there has been, like I said, 2 improvements, and there's 2 new brick houses built across the street, and one of them on the 200 feet yard. There has not been any other structures that have been built. We mostly just patched our houses in this area. There's even, I think one of my neighbors even kind of live in a camper that he's, out there. But I just wanted to get something better for myself. I can't afford what I would like to have, what I have applied to the bank for and everything. I cannot afford that. Cannot afford to pay a $1,700 or $1,100 house note every month on my single salary. But I would love to have a new house, and I have looked at our different, our separate ways of getting it in a mobile house. I went out to them, walked through, looked, and they're, to me, just as nice. And I would like to put it on my land and have a nice front porch built so I can sit out there and enjoy. And I'm just asking you all to help me to get that accomplished.
Well, thank you very much for coming. If there are any questions.
What's the cross street?
The cross street, there is Liberta, and then there is a Carter Boulevard. That's right there on the cross streets of it. There is a, I guess Liberta would be the main cross street to me. Yes, ma'am. And then going on around the corner is the scrap and metal and the fishing hole. Anything from my backyard on back, there's nothing there but woods, trees that leads to the loop 323. So there's nothing back there.
We have an email that she sent.
What?
You do have, can we see it?
The pictures of, what was it?
It was the pictures of the mobile homes
In the
that she
area.
asked me to send in the area.
Yeah, there are some mobile homes to the northwest, as she mentioned. We looked into the ones that were across from Texas College, and we couldn't tell based off any permit records whether they were manufactured homes or modular homes. They appeared to be on foundations, so
Right.
we would think they might be modular homes, but it depends. The property they're on wouldn't be zoned for manufactured homes, so we're not really sure how long they've been there like that. But there are some, as the applicant mentioned, there are different styles of homes in the neighborhood, different manufactured homes, site-built homes, and then perhaps some modular homes as well.
Any other questions?
Mr. Mayor, I make a motion that we provide what this young lady, Ms. Wilson, needs as far as making it the R-MH.
Okay. Okay, motion by McKellar,
Second?
second by Sellers. Any other questions? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Go build that porch, okay? I want some porch time too. That's what I'm looking forward to. Okay, Z4.
Right. This last one is a zone change from R1A to C1 light commercial. This is along East Fifth Street. The request is to allow for commercial uses. As you can see here, it is along a major street. The properties to the northeast and south are zoned for C1 and are commercially developed, and to the west is also commercially developed. Of the notices sent, none were returned in favor or in opposition, and the Planning and Zoning Commission by unanimous vote recommends approval of the change from R1A to C1.
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve C4.
Yes, a motion by Westbrook, a second by Broderick. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Now on to M1.
Mayor, and I don't know if it's whatever's up here to help you with.
Yes.
Before you take M1.
Okay.
The city clerk alerted us that for R2.
Two.
For the eminent domain vote, needed to have a record vote. So we needed, even though council did approve it, we need to have each council member on record for approval or not.
For Z2?
For R2, the eminent domain item, Mayor and
Oh, yeah,
Council.
yeah.
Do I have to
Sorry.
read?
So,
Do we have to read it all
Do we have
over
to read
again?
that?
what I was going to do, if you will allow me, if I can just restate Councilman McGee's motion. The motion was by Councilman McGee, and it was a
Thank
second
goodness.
by Councilmember Sellers. Is that correct? And just to restate that the motion was for the city.
I think it was Westbrook.
No,
Did
it was
you-
me.
Oh, Linda seconded? Okay.
After he read all that, I thought he needed a second.
So, just to ensure, on the record on R2, we had a motion by Councilmember McGee and a second by Councilmember Sellers. Is that correct?
Correct.
Thank you. And I will just restate the motion, and then you all can take the record vote. I appreciate you bearing with us on this. And the motion by Councilmember McGee was for the City of Tyler to authorize the use of power of eminent domain to acquire a .028 acre tract, road, utility, and drainage easement tract of land situated on the James McKnight Survey Abstract 689 and being a part of Lot 13, New City Block 449C of the Galloway Addition, as shown on the recorded volume, as shown on plat recorded in volume 101, page 9 of the deed records of Smith County, Texas, and also being a part of that certain tract of land described in the deed from Edith Bolton et al. To Sorella Crowder and Noella McNary as recorded in volume 621, page 403 of the deed records of Smith County, Texas, also being a part of tax lot 23 for the purpose of constructing a sidewalk and curb and gutter for the citizens of the city of Tyler, Texas.
Great, so we have a motion and a second, and we had approval, but now we'll go back and ask everybody for their vote. Councilman McKellar, how do you vote?
I vote yes.
Westbrook?
Aye.
Me, aye. Councilman Sellers?
Aye.
Broderick? And I did that without my whole little map here.
Thank you, Council.
Okay, so now we're done with that. Now we're on to M1.
Good morning, Mayor and Council.
Good morning.
It's been a long one. Okay. Our next item is for the North End Residential Building Incentives Program. We brought this to you a couple of years ago for an amendment. This particular program began in 2013, And it was to address the Tyler First goal to add 3,000 more households to North Tyler and the downtown area in the next 20 years to create mixed income neighborhoods. While the goal includes downtown, this program is particularly focused in the north end and in two of our districts, our Texas College District and our Butler College Duncanville District. And
No, I'm sorry.
okay, sharing chocolate. Okay, so in 2018, as I mentioned, the program was updated to establish some caps on the amount of fees that could be reimbursed for qualifying projects for this program. And the caps were established at $5,000 for any development services related fees, and then just over $31,000 for any fees that were related to the water fund. So, and those are related to water and sewer taps. Since the program was revised, there has been no eligible projects, largely in part to the size, the minimum size of the square footage for the home. So it was changed to be at 1,600 square feet for the home, and because of that, we haven't seen any applications for this program. So in reviewing the program, we worked with our neighborhood services department and asking, what are the typical size homes that they see being developed. And we also reached out to our subcommittee on this item, and it was recommended that the new minimum square footage be 1,300 square feet. And in reviewing our records and looking at the size of the homes that are being developed in the north end, we're seeing around 1,300 to 1,350 are our typical size homes of heated and cooled space. So that seems to be a very logical movement in this program to see some more activity. And we aren't making any recommendations to change our target areas. We are seeing activity in those target areas. We just want to see some activity in regards to this program. So with that, we are recommending that the North End residential building incentives stay intact with the one change to the minimum square footage, changing it from 1,600 square feet to 1,300 square feet.
Would this set any precedents in the future for any further enhancement and development?
Well, what we hope to see is more activity in the north end as far as it relates to residential, because what we want to see is more residential homes in the north end so we can build that intensity to have more commercial in the north end and those types of services that the north end residents want to see.
I'm definitely in favor of this. Now, this is going to be for single-family dwellings, because that's what we're really trying to encourage.
Yes, sir.
I think we kind of got caught in a situation earlier that I was not as comfortable with when it became for a large duplex development that was really not, the purpose really wasn't to sell and create home ownership opportunities. It was, and I just didn't like that. But, I mean, if we're, and this is geared to single-family
Yes, sir.
dwellings, right?
Yes, sir.
Which I think is great, because we want to encourage, well, Ms. Wilson that was here earlier, right? I mean, we want to do things that we're encouraging families to be able to build a house on the land instead of having to look to some alternatives. So I'm definitely in favor of lowering the square footage. In fact, I won't be here, but I'd actually go a little bit lower in the future if it was me.
The trend is toward that. Does this change the size of the lot at all?
No.
But I think it's a good move, and I want it to be geared towards single-family home ownership, because that's a great opportunity for everybody.
Yes.
And I wanted to have some good affordable housing in this community. Okay.
Yep.
That's my soapbox. I mean, I got 2 meetings left. I get the right for a soapbox. Y'all can't stop me now. Deborah can't even look at me anymore.
So moved.
I move to approve M1.
A second?
I have a motion by Broderick, a second by Sellers. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. Do you have a comment, Shirley?
No, sir.
Okay. On to M2.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. This is a request that the City Council consider approving an amendment to the 2014 through 2019 annual action plans. As the council is aware, the city receives community development block grant funds from HUD each year. And each year we must submit an annual action plan simply telling HUD how we plan to use the funds. And naturally, plans change. And so amendments are authorized under HUD regulations. HUD regulations do require some citizen input and encourage citizen participation. And so staff has actually published this, excuse me, clearing my throat. Staff has actually published this in the paper and trying to generate some public comments. After a 30-day public comment period, we have not received any public comments or citizen suggestions. For this particular amendment, no projects are being added. It really serves two primary purposes. The first, to kind of clean up the information system that, or reporting system to HUD, and then the second is to reallocate $31,001 from a previous fiscal year grant to the Hidden Palace Infrastructure Project. And so with that, staff does recommend that the City Council approve the amendment to the 2014 through 2019 annual action plans.
Questions? Or Dustin? A motion?
Second.
A motion by McKellar, a second by Westbrook. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Davis, you can keep on that mask.
Oh, yeah, I like that mask too.
Yeah, please look at the city manager when you do that.
Like 3-4, you know offensive when you see it.
Hook 'em horn.
Yeah, thank you
That's
for,
right.
thank you for wearing that.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I'm presenting M3, and what this is your consideration to award bid number 20-029 to Gardner Telecommunications, and they're out of Mesquite. What the scope of this project is a lot of the automated gates on the airport throughout the perimeter really have about a 20-year-old technology that we use for access control, which really is pretty labor intensive for our crew and to make sure that we're maintaining it properly. Also, too, parts for some of these gates has become obsolete. So this is being addressed with the newer, our access control that we have in our terminal. Also a fiber optic cable that would make a complete loop around the airport. That gives the airport a lot more abilities in the future. You can see the bid tab here and the low bid being Gardner Telecommunications, which has a lot of experience in this line of work. That totals $1,978,796. And the good news to this is this has been on our capital improvement program with the FAA for several years. And we've kind of reached that point where it's time to award it, and they've offered, they will hand us a grant this week to pay 100% of these costs with no local share required.
Yeah, that's great. Wow. That's great.
So with that, I, of course, presented this to the Airport Advisory Board.
That comes through the CARES Act, right?
It is part of the CARES
Part of
Act, that local share.
Right.
So it was kind of part of that CARES Act, but yes.
That's good.
In fact, we anticipate seeing that grant either this afternoon or in the morning.
Well, I like being able to use the CARES Act because we finance ourselves so well and plan so well in this community that we could use some of that money maybe on some infrastructure, needed infrastructure is a good plan for me. I like that.
Can you remind me how many bids there were, and were there any local?
There were 3 bids, and really, I think there'll be some local participation within each contract. I know, like with East Texas Alarm and in the case with Gardner. So there will be a lot of local participation from a subcontractor standpoint. One of the things I'm real pleased about is that we can also serve our customers better. You know, we're kind of the gatekeepers, no pun here, but we need to make sure who goes in and out of our airfield is very secure.
Yes.
And with this new technology that we'll be bringing on board with this project, that will enable our team to do that.
and to be able to serve the leaseholders when they have a request to either add or subtract somebody.
What's construction time?
The contract construction time is 120 days.
Oh, wow.
And so you need us to approve M3 and M4 together?
Yeah, and M4, basically, it's part of that. It's the construction administration, and with any FAA project, we have to have project inspectors out there.
Sounds
So a lot of
great.
that budget's for that.
Great. Any more questions? Davis, a motion?
Move to approve M3.
Second.
Motion by Broderick, a second by Linda. Councilman McGee and Councilman Sellers.
I'm glad we're not using rent-a-fence.
Yeah, no, but, so a motion and a second, all in favor? Aye. And Shirley, you had the third? You were, so we had three, we had a first, a second, and a third on that. Okay, so at this time, M5. You're gonna, Sarah, you're taking M5 and M6, or Miss McCracken, excuse me.
M4.
Good morning, Mayor and City Council.
Yeah, no, M4 was part of that
Oh,
motion.
I'm sorry.
M3 and M4 were part of the same motion, same project. So go ahead now.
So are we done?
So yes, we are.
Okay. Good morning, Mayor and City Council. Today I'm here to present to you the property and casualty insurance renewal for 2020-2021. If you'll remember, in 2019, we issued an RFP, and through that RFP process and analysis, we selected for our package property and general liability policy traveler's insurance through McGriff, Siebels & Williams. We purchased our cyber liability with Westchester through Hibbs, Hallmark & Company. We selected our special event liability with Philadelphia through Bosworth & Associates, and our third-party claim administration with Innovative Risk Management. That process allows for 2 one-year renewal options with the current vendor as long as the premiums are acceptable to the city.
Is that all lines of coverage for the 2 years?
Yes, actually this next slide shows you all of the coverages that are in our property and casualty program.
Okay.
And that's just a listing.
Any questions of Sarah?
Move to approve.
Second.
A motion and a second. Councilman Sellers, Councilman Westbrook, for M5. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. M6.
Okay, M6 is for the 2021 excess workers' compensation insurance renewal. In 2019, through the same RFP process, we selected our excess workers' compensation with Midwest Employers Casualty through Hibbs Hallmark, and our third-party claim administration with Claims Administrative Services, and we have the same 2 one-year renewal option.
And in that, excuse me, but in that 2-year option, you still bring the premiums back for us to approve?
Yes, we still get quotes each, even though there are 2 renewal options, we still get quotes. And we just don't have to do an RFP every year. This just allows us to just move forward with the quotes if they're acceptable to the city and the council.
And I remember looking through our packet, but was there an increase in premiums on the one prior to that we just approved, M5? Was there an increase?
Yes, there was an overall 10.5% increase in our premiums. However, that is much lower than what they're seeing in the industry. In fact, McGriff is seeing anywhere from 20 to 100% increase in premiums for various reasons, but we ended up at a 10.5.
Thank you.
So it was very competitive, favorable rates.
Okay, on M6? Are we on M6? Because we just voted for M5, right?
Yeah.
Did we have a motion to approve? Oh, I'm sorry.
Second.
A motion by McKellar, a second by Broderick. Any other questions? All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
Thank you. M7?
Good morning. Tiffany Curry, Project Engineer, Tyler Water Utilities.
Thank you.
M7 is the award of the traditional pipe rehabilitation project for the consent decree Group 2 work. I'll give you all a super quick overview because we've talked about this a few council meetings in a row, but this is the final portion of the Group 2 packages. Group 2 was divided into 3 projects: the traditional manhole work, the specialty manhole and pipe remediation work, and now the traditional gravity main work. Next slide. The traditional main work is happening in Basin 13, approximately 15,000 linear feet of open cut pipe and repair and replace, as well as some point repair, open cut. We received 4 bids for this project. A.E. Schul, Canary, Belt Construction, and Reynolds & Kay, ranging in cost from $4,338,104.30 all the way up to $5,479,062. And the low bid is A.E. Schul and Company, who's been working with us throughout the course of the consent decree. So our recommendation today is that the City Council authorize the city manager to execute a contract with A.E. Schul and Company in the amount of $4,338,104.30 for the consent decree Group 2 traditional pipe rehab.
Move to approve M7.
Second.
A motion by Sellers, a second by Westbrook. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
M8.
Good morning, Mayor and Council. This is Paul Newhouse, Environmental Compliance Engineer, and we've got item M8 talking about some creek crossing repair. And there were 4 creek crossings that were repaired. Wow, that was neat. 2 of those
Yeah,
were...
that's Jennifer's husband's car. It just pops up every once in a while. Subliminal.
That's a lot more interesting, I think.
Yeah. Yeah.
The 2 emergency repairs were leaks, and 2 of these were critical, i.e. just waiting for the chips to fall. So those have been repaired. There's a picture on the next slide of one of those repairs, the one on Paluxy. That's a 30-inch line inside of a 42-inch steel casing, so it's a large line. And our recommendation is that you approve $260,180.58 to cover these repairs for these creek crossings.
Move to approve M8.
Second.
Motion by Westbrook, a second by Councilman McGee. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. I am so happy you're working on creek crossings. I say that every time that you come up here. So thank you. H1.
Good morning or afternoon, maybe, Mayor and Council. I'm here again on the Encore proposed electric franchise. This is the second reading. Regina Moss with the City Attorney's Office, for the record. The proposed ordinance has not changed since the last presentation. This is the second of 3 public readings that are required. Staff requests at this time that council would open a public hearing, take any comment, and then take a vote to approve the ordinance as presented and move to the next reading.
I'm opening the public hearing portion of the meeting. Are there any comments from the public? Cassandra, do you have anybody on the phone?
No, sir.
Okay. I'm closing the public hearing portion of the meeting.
That might have been the best job you've ever done on that.
Right. That was my inner Izzy coming out because she loves to slam that thing down.
So I would request a motion to approve as presented and move to the next reading, if there is one.
And so do we have another reading? Or is this
You
the
have
final?
a third one. Yes,
Okay,
one
do
more.
we have to make a motion to go on to the third reading?
By charter, you have to move at each presentation to approve as presented so that you can move to the next reading.
Okay, I'll entertain a motion to do that.
So moved.
Okay, the motion by McKellar, second by Councilman McGee. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you.
And do we have to have a recorded vote? Thank you.
Everything situated. Morning, Mayor and Council.
Good morning, Chief.
Morning, Chief.
Not going to keep you here a long time today, but on an annual basis, we come back to you in reference to the civil service classification plan that has to be presented after we get through the budget cycle with any changes. The last time we did this was in February when Chief Coble brought the changes of the actual organization of the department in with the classifications there. But earlier this year, we presented an opportunity to apply for a COPS grant, and we were awarded that a few months ago. And on the 9th of this month, we went to the Civil Service Commission and presented that to them and modifying our civil service plan here and taking us to 199 actual civil service employees. But with myself, it's a threshold for us because we've hit 200 police officers in the city of Tyler, which is a significant mark for us, and we're proud to get there. Over the last 10 years, we've added 10 police officers to the city of Tyler. You see up there, one of the ones that's the most significant you see in there is the 4 that were added in 2010. Those are the community response officers. As we develop that community outreach program and we continue to focus on it, the ones we'll add this year will have a similar impact as we go through our priority response team, as we move to address the parks and the trails, the business areas, to make sure we get that face-to-face conversation and friendship with the actual citizens we address every day. But we also focus on crime-related problems at the same time as we're able to address those. So we come today as we request the City Council consider adoption of an ordinance amending the Tyler City Code, Chapter 3, Civil Service Classification Plan by amending the Civil Service Classification Plan and number of authorized civil service positions for fiscal year 2020 and 2021.
Yeah, I was there for that 2010 vote.
Yeah.
That was a good vote.
Yeah, absolutely.
And before we take a motion, I just want to say quickly that I want you to thank all your officers on behalf of me, and I'm sure the council, of how well that you've handled these COVID and the protest and the different movements that came through this community, mainly of great citizens that were voicing their opinion. We didn't really have a lot of out-of-town folks, which I think has been very helpful, and the professional way that y'all dealt with all instances and made sure that people were able to voice their opinions, both really on the COVID and the other protests that occurred. I want you to really thank, I'm thanking you, the leadership staff, but also each and every officer for the great job that they did through some very difficult 6 to 7 months now.
Thank you, sir. I'm blessed to have a great staff, great police officers, and everybody else that supports them. But I think the biggest thing and the advantage we've had that other cities don't is the relationship we have with the community, is that we're able to have those conversations. We're able to have feedback back and forth where we have these events.
And I really like the community policing,
yes, sir,
the community response officers we've added. It made a difference.
Absolutely.
And I do also think that the longevity of so many of the officers and the maturity that they have really helps compared to a lot of other areas that really have a lot of turnover in the police departments.
Yeah.
Plus, that's why it's important that we're the highest paid police force
Absolutely.
in Northeast Texas. So, I mean, we're hiring the best, attracting the best. So I'm looking.
Yeah. I would say that the city manager mentioned we've been blessed. We gave a civil service test last week. As we see departments across the nation having declining numbers going on, we're having the retirements like some other agencies are, but we had 130 something people that submitted paperwork, 90, 95 that were eligible to take the test, and after they cleared all the physical portions, the written portions of the test, we were looking at about 50 candidates to fill about 10 to 12 positions right now. So we've actually seen about a 30 to 40% increase in the numbers, had good turnout in the minority populations also. We had 20% of the people taking the test were Hispanic, 10% were African American, but we actually continue to have people in our community that want to be police officers and serve
That's
the community.
great, good deal.
Well, Well, Chief, I want to echo also too what the mayor just said and add a little bit to it. You know, the standard of excellence that your department exudes and the respect that they have in the community starts at the leadership of
Thank you, sir.
And your leadership team at the top. You established the culture, so thank you and your leadership team also too for all you do.
Thank you very much, sir.
I think that slide's quite impressive. I wish we could put it on national news, but
Did you say 10%
Thank you.
African American?
Yes, ma'am.
And with that, I move to approve 01.
second.
Motion from Westbrook, a second from Sellers. Any other questions or comments? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it.
Thank you all.
Thank you, Chief.
Thank you, Chief.
Ms. Taylor? Oh, it's not Ms. Taylor.
What is her name? I haven't seen her in so long.
I have a very
And
lengthy
see, now I'm in,
Glad to know you're still
no,
here.
now I'm in a hurry since I passed the 12 o'clock mark.
I mean, since you've gone to lunch, you
That's
know,
right.
things have changed out there
But
in
I've
the real
already
world.
had my lunch. I had another.
Your Kit Kats. I'm
Kit Kat.
thankful that you have your Kit Kats.
Thank you.
So real quick, I'll do this last item before you get to do the consent agenda. This is really library services item. The library has developed great partnerships in our community, and with COVID-19, they've been talking and having conversations with TISD, and TISD is not utilizing their libraries in the schools, and so this was an opportunity for us to partner with them, and this is really just a simple update to our ordinance that waives the non-resident fee for TISD students when they want to check out and utilize materials at our library. The library board reviewed this and considers this for your recommendation unanimously.
That's a great idea. Any questions?
Move to approve 02.
Second.
Motion by Sellers, second by McKellar. All in favor? Aye. Opposed? The ayes have it. Now we're down to the consent agenda. Is there anything that needs to be pulled?
Mr. Mayor, I move to approve the consent agenda as presented.
Motion by Westbrook.
Second.
Second by McGee. All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? The ayes have it. City Manager's report.
Would you prefer to skip, sir, in order
to Yes.
to the executive session?
Yeah, I said yes. That was fast, yes. And for my retirement gift, if you could get with Davis about where
I
he...
was going to say, we'll skip since you don't have the right mask.
Oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry. We do have one question from Councilman Westbrook.
Census. We are approaching this impending deadline for census, so.
Good point.
Can we get an update? Where do we stand? Oh my gosh, it's so important to our community.
And we'll work with our complete count committee and get that information. Essentially, I need to just text Nancy Rangel.
When is it? Is
I
the
can send it.
deadline the
September 30th.
Yes,
September
end of the month.
30th?
It's moved up 1 month.
Can we,
Yes, sir. It was short.
Lou Ann and with the communication staff, if there's anything that this council could participate in here at the last minute, we'll be more than happy to. If maybe a push on Monday or something,
We could. Let me ask.
or even
let me-
for Sundays, or
Let me-
Monday, whatever.
Let me get with Michael Howell and Nancy Rangel,
Good.
who are on your complete count committee.
Because it
and
rained
see-
out the big event.
It rained out the big event, yes,
So-
sir. We can get
Yeah,
you
good,
details on
thank you for asking. I've been thinking about that, I just forgot to ask. Good, thank you. So we're going to now recess for executive session, and I forgot we had this, sorry. The city council may go into executive session regarding any item posted on the agenda as authorized by Title V, Chapter 551 of the Texas Government Code. Notice is hereby given that the city council may go into executive session in accordance with the following provisions of Government Code. Executive item number 1, under Texas Government Code Section 551.072, real estate deliberations regarding the following. Discuss the purchase, exchange, sale, lease, or value of real property, the public discussion of which would have a detrimental effect on the negotiating position of the city. In my question, I don't even know what we're talking about, but do we plan on having any sort of action after the executive session?
No, sir.
It's not an action item.
It will be at some future point. but not-
Right, okay. So I just wanted to verify that for our friends in the media so they don't stay around for another 30 minutes or so. Okay, so at this time, we are in recess. I just ate the crunches too.
Shirley, I don't know about you, but I am so worried about completion of the census. Oh my gosh, it's just.
I know so many people have not filled theirs out, and we keep telling them, please, please, please.
Exactly.
We could get another congressional seat probably.
Exactly. That's what's truly at stake.
Yeah, yeah.
Oh my. Oh, yes, ma'am, thank you. Oops.
Y'all ready back there? I'm waiting for the light. Oh, there's not a light back there anymore. Oh.
It's a cost-cutting measure. No light.
We're calling the city council meeting back in session. We do not have any action coming out of the executive session item. And so at this time, I'd entertain a motion to adjourn.
So moved.
All in favor, aye. We are adjourned.
Attorney Dustin.
Thank you.